subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Tong Shenlu can compete with it, as well as the self-healing of Xuanquan hands and the physical strength of Liuku Immortal Thief to meet the needs of continuous combat. Divine Machine Hundred Refinements doesn't work in this situation. It's a pity. Daoyuo Cave Temple should be able to help a lot, but using it at my half-baked level will cause trouble for myself. There are only 4 kinds of 8 magic skills that can be used, and the other is a whole card for self-protection. This whole card can only be used at the most critical time. Originally, it was just right to cooperate with detaining spirit and dispatching generals. However, the Commander-in-Chief's melee combat power is only not weaker than the current firepower of the 2 sides, and if he approaches without authorization, he will only suffer a knife. The double defense that Guan Yue has prepared for himself is not a problem to deal with ordinary captains or even stronger people, but this is too much for the captain. Have to find someone blocking the gun to create opportunities for me. Guan Yue sensed that there was a nearest Ryatsu, and without saying a word, Xuanpa leaned over. The commander-in-chief thought he wanted to shift positions to delay time, and immediately used the superior Xuanpa to close the distance between the 2 sides, and even had the energy to speak. It seems that you are not only unqualified in cutting skills, but also have a lot of poor fighting skills. Turning your back to the opponent is a taboo among the taboos. When the captain of the battle squad makes this kind of mistake, Kenpachi's name is No is crying. 35, of course I know. After Guan Yue landed, he didn't look back. The back of the neck is the biggest dead end of the creature. Do you think I would be in that place without setting any precautions? Immediately after, the burning blade cut through the void, ending his words. Ping! The crisp sound of swords colliding sounded. The sparks splashed little by little, and the faces of both sides were reflected on the blade. Yamamoto Yuanyuzi opened his eyes, slightly surprised. A knife emerged from the empty space to block him. This is indeed surprising. But he was even more surprised that his slash, which could not be said to be a water release, was actually blocked by a mere vice captain. It's too much, Captain Guan Yue. It's just implicated in irrelevant people and trying to throw dirty water on people. This is not the restraint that a captain should have. The gentleman who blocked the commander-in-chief raised his glasses with his other hand, and his seemingly helpless tone was unbelievably calm. Compared with the blazing commander-in-chief, it was completely at the other extreme. You are Aizen Suk, the vice-captain of the 5th Division. Ask for flowers. Yamamoto Yuanyuzi jumped after closing the knife, calling out this person's identity. It's me, Your Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief. Aizen's blade was hanging down, and he bowed his head slightly, seemingly respectfully. Why are you here? I came to watch the game out of curiosity. Hiding my body is my Zanpakutō's ability. The purpose is just not to cause unnecessary misunderstanding. So please don't mistake the captain, and I have the same position as Captain Guan Yue. Don't say that, Vice Captain Aizen. At this moment, Guan Yue, who was behind Aizen, turned his head and put his hand on his shoulder. Intentionally or not, your captain, Hirako Shinji, is being treated at the Comprehensive Treatment Center, and the captain is going to go and cut the doctor. Can you allow this to happen? Aizen turned his head sideways, glanced over the hand on his shoulder, and finally landed on Guan Yue's face with a thoughtful expression. The two looked at each other for a while, not knowing what agreement they had reached in secret. Aizen changed his original tone. Indeed, from my standpoint, it's not good to stand by. 99, that's it. Guan Yue nodded with satisfaction and looked at Yamamoto Yuanyuzi. It's 2-1 now. Years, Vice Captain Aizen. The old man ordered you to step back as the chief captain. Your captain Hirako Shinji is now under the domination of sinners, and the old man is wielding a knife to protect the wounded. Sinner? Captain Urahara? I always thought he was a good person. A man like him shouldn't do such a thing. Maybe there's something hidden in it. Can the captain give him a chance to prove his innocence? If he can save Captain Hirako and the others, so wouldn't it be the best of both worlds? Aizen's attitude is not insincere. However, Yamamoto Yuanyuzi was even more angry. It seems that it doesn't make sense. 1 or 2 are like this, and the old man is also old. and he has forgotten what the best way to deal with the bad boy is. The old man's voice contained palpable anger. Boom! Ryatsu shakes the sky and fire shakes the earth, echoing his mood at the moment. In that case, please be merciful. After all, I'm just a vice captain. 55. Aizen stood with a knife in one hand. The frame of the frame was reddened by the fire. The calm gesture was the exact opposite of the words. Playing with the captain is not something that the deputy captain can enjoy. Guan Yu put down his hand, and Ryatsu shook the sea of fire with a bang. The meaning of tit for tat could not be more obvious. Take advantage of this opportunity. If possible, I would like to give this opportunity to other vice captains. The next moment, Bao Yin roared and rushed towards the two of them. 81. Human Kid Cannon, first update. What an unexpected situation. Until this moment, Aizen still had time to think, although Siriidii has his shadow behind this series of events. However, the purpose of appearing here is only because both sides of the battle are worth taking a little risk, observe closely, and do not have clear hostility or murderous intent. Considering that he did not cast Kaika Sujitsu on Guan Yu, he chose a position far away from the battlefield and finally covered his figure with superb kid skills. Unexpectedly, this is the case, and Guan Yu, who is in a state of fierce battle, is supposed to be hard to distract him. It can only show that the other party's real kid attainments are much higher than the expected maximum overestimation. Based on the value of this information alone, this trip is not in vain. As for having to join the war due to the situation and position, he doesn't care about this kind of unwarranted threat because Guan Yu will not report himself for 110. The reason why I promise it is nothing more than a more interesting way of observing nearby. It is also a rare experience to be able to experience the strength of the opponent who is destined to face each other in the future. Unexpected things happened, that is to say, they were not taken into account at the beginning, so when such a situation occurs, it can often have a special impact on oneself. The so-called harvest is based on victory or defeat. Meaning .99, the raging explosion engulfed the two of them unceremoniously, like a storm crashing on the shore. Even the large tracts of land and buildings behind him were destroyed and burned to the ground. All the troubles and noises in the world will vanish in the face of this unreasonable and pure violence. When the dust settles, nothing will be left. But the old man is rational. Young people with great prospects don't deserve to die here. So just burn it for 6 to ripen. But he miscalculated. The initiator of the violence saw the two who were unscathed after the explosion and said that it was impossible to have no fluctuations in their hearts. But he immediately noticed Guan Yu and Aizen's 2-point and 1-line positions and Zanpakutō, who had changed in the former's hand. In an instant, everything became clear. I drown myself and starve myself, and there is no fog. Guan Yu holds an extravagant crystal sword. The crystal as the outer shell shone brightly, converting all the damage suffered by Aizen, the human-shaped shield standing in front of him, into Ryatsu and storing it. Obviously, it's an avant-garde, but there is a feeling of being protected. It's really a brand new experience. In this way, I can feel at ease and ask the Commander-in-Chief, Your Excellency, for more advice. Aizen's interested eyes swept across the silver-blue brilliance that appeared on his body from time to time, and then his expression became positive, and his figure turned into an elongated shadow. The sharp sword light pierced the sky, condensing all the sense of existence in an instant. Not only stunningly beautiful, but also powerful as a slash. At least in Yamamoto Uenyuzi's view, Aizen's level of slashing is more suitable for inheriting the title of Kenpachi than Guan Yu. The gap is so large that even a person with this skill in swordsmanship has to pay 1/3 of his life to be able to pursue it. On the degree, ping dash. The sound of dozens of sword collisions happened in just 1 second, and it sounded like a long sound. It was extremely weird and terrible. Such a slashing confrontation was something Guan Yu didn't even dare to think about. Yamamoto Jinryuzai was right. Guan Yu has already given up on beheading. No talent and no interest. All put all their energy into Kid, followed by Shuinpa and White Hits, and finally feed itself back with the versatile Kid, covering up all its inadequacies. There is nothing wrong with this path. So Guan Yu will not envy the old man and Aizen's seemingly real men's real swords and real guns. Yes, It's just seemingly. Times have long since changed. Today, caliber is justice. Range is truth. The turbid coat of arms is faintly revealed. Rebellious and arrogant talents. Tide, denial, paralysis. For a moment, it hinders the long sleep. The crawling iron princess. The clay dolls that constantly self-mutilate, combine, bounce, and extend to the ground, knowing your own powerlessness. 35 Guan Yu performed a rare chant. While chant, almost every syllable will make Aizen and Yamamoto Yuanyuzi fight a magic talisman with ominous black aura and purple characters. This is a simulacrum plus additional chant. In other words, it is not enough to release multiple kid at the same time, and it needs to be strengthened again on the basis of the original complete body. Due to Aizen's reckless attack, Yamamoto Yuanyuzi often left wounds on his body, but these wounds would immediately become Guan Yu's Ryatsu. Therefore, in a very short period of time, although the Ryatsu stored in the crystal shell of Absolute Mist has not reached the upper limit of 6 times the total Ryatsu of Guan Yu, it still has an amazing value. Guan Yu has practiced Shirkai to be transparent over the years, and he can deposit and withdraw at any time without saving up. Therefore, the current blow is a masterpiece created by his own Ryatsu plus the Ryatsu in the crystal shell. At number 90 Black Coffin, in ancient times, there was a sage who preached to the ground with golden lotuses, and now Guan Yu opens his mouth, and it is dark. Each magic talisman is like a node, each extending out countless dark lines. And finally, the lines of all the magic talismans are connected to form a black skyscraper in an automatic assembly method full of mechanical beauty. 88 meters high and 44 meters wide, the Black Coffin has uneven steel-like slits around it. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a large number of crosses, which were inserted crookedly on the surface. Once this building was born, the world lost its voice, and even the surging sea of fire gave people a sense of loneliness and sadness. All kinds of people are attending a silent funeral. At this moment, leisurely words broke the balance. Captain Guan Yu's Zanpakutō should not be enough to absorb his own attack, right? Before releasing such a large-scale kid next time, can you inform us in advance that if I don't withdraw from the battlefield in time, Captain Guan Yu will have to carry it on his back, charged with murdering a colleague? Aizen's toes tapped the void and landed beside Guan Yu. Didn't you come out? I believe that you have the judgment to do this. Besides, I will inform you in advance, so how can you be easily attacked by the commander's fighting qualities? 99 Guan Yu has no guilt, but is righteous. 0.3 If you are like this, no one will be willing to fight with you in the future. Aizen shook his head slightly. Do you think I need it? 35 makes sense. Hearing this, Aizen looked at the huge coffin and sighed. The perfect fusion of about 50-90 number had, which not only guarantees basic performance, but also improves quality and quantity, and finally uses chant to reinforce it. I have never seen this kind of use of kid. Even if the enemy, no matter how much, it will be swept away, and the power of one person even surpasses the entire kid crowd. As strong as the captain, there's nothing you can do if you think about it. 5. Has Captain Hirako said you lack a sense of humor? Guan Yu narrowed his eyes and stared at the gradually disintegrating Black Coffin. There's nothing we can do about it. This clearly made the old man completely angry. 82. Guan Yu's research results, second update. The Black Coffin looks solid, but it's hollow inside, and it's actually no different from an oversized box. And now, this oversized box seems to contain a high-temperature object. As the heat surges, the weight of the fire burns. Black Coffin cracked after all. Every crack burst out with crimson fire, and the flames that were as thick as magma spewed out columns of fire like a volcanic eruption. In the blink of an eye, this huge behemoth became riddled with holes. The first plan appears to have failed. Guan Yu came to a conclusion calmly, as he thinks if he can use the powerful kid to neutralize the Bankai before the old man uses it, then it will be easy to drag it until tomorrow morning. However, the old man's combat experience is too rich. So even if there is Aizen blocking the gun, it is difficult to do this. On the contrary, due to the fact that his side is too powerful, the old man had to show more strength to overwhelm his side. But if Shirkai can't take it down, Using Bankai was the only solution. This is the risk of the first plan. If it fails, it will only force the old man to make up his mind to use Bankai to fight 28 quick fixes. As expected of the commander-in-chief, in a form similar to self-destruction, he concentrated the flames at one point and then erupted outwards in order to offset the scouring of the ubiquitous gravity torrent inside the Black Coffin, although it was extremely exhausting and wasting Ryatsu's practice. But the decisiveness is truly impressive. Five Eisen commented with relish like an outsider. Don't worry about the captain's reckoning. But also, the big head is on Guan Yu's side. As long as Guan Yu is okay, then he is okay. And Guan Yu will definitely find a way to make himself okay. So why does he need to worry about it? Deputy Captain Eisen, this is for you. I will rush in with you later. I will create a chance. You put this on his hand. Guan Yu suddenly threw an object to Eisen and explained it seriously. Shackles? Eisen raised his eyebrows and looked at the gadget in his hand. From first impressions and actual observations, a complete set of silver shackles. But the style is more trendy. A tiny chain links two silver bracelet-like handcuffs. Of course, appearance doesn't matter. What matters is what it does. However, there is no experimental equipment for analysis here. Just looking at it in my hand, I can't see why. I can only feel that the Ryatsu component of this handcuff is very special, like a phantom projected from a farther place. There is an unreal feeling. There is only one chance, if possible. I don't want to use this second plan, or even the third plan, because one is more troublesome than the other. Guan Yu gripped the handle of the knife tightly. Any more follow-up plans? Eisen laughed dumbly. Sure enough, there are some interesting things that can only be discovered by looking closely. It's okay for me to create opportunities. After all, my Zanpakutō abilities are more suitable for this kind of thing. Then let's go together. Guan Yu agreed very happily, as if waiting for him to say so. Eisen took a deep look at Guan Yu, as if he had a deeper understanding of him. Don't wait for the Black Coffin to dissipate. Come on. The voice fell, and Guan Yu's Shunpa disappeared. Seeing this, Eisen followed with a smile. He is now very curious about the function of the handcuffs Guan Yu gave him. Moreover, the object of use is still the commander-in-chief. This experience may provide some good inspiration for the future self. Or maybe Guan Yu is certain that he will feel this way before he can deliver the important task with confidence. The two figures were like arrows from the strings, running towards the Black Coffin that was gradually collapsing. You can lock Yamamoto Jinryu's position without looking for it at all. The old man at this time is like a living sun falling into Soul Society, and that infinite light and heat is essentially the outward manifestation of the flaming Ryatsu. The majestic body has a few wounds, some burns, and some lacerations, which are the result of Black Coffin and the strategy of dealing with Black Coffin. Compared to Guan Yu's attack strength, this level of injury can be said to be insignificant. Not even a drop of blood was shed from the wound, because it evaporates at high temperature. It made those wounds look more like fissures all over the dry land after the drought. The blood flowing under the fissures was radiated by the rising Ryatsu, making the inside of the fissures seem to have hot magma flowing. The Raijin Jaka in the hands of Yamamoto Yuanyuzi is surprisingly introverted, no longer bursting wildly at the beginning, and all the flames are ending little by little. But that doesn't mean his combat effectiveness is declining. On the contrary, Guan Yu and Eisen can clearly feel that the moisture in the air is rapidly evaporating, and the temperature is soaring wildly. When the distance is only 10 meters, there is a kind of terrifying heat seems to emerge from the depths of the soul, and a strong sense of crisis that must melt and burn from the inside. Eisen couldn't take it anymore and became serious. Little devils, until now, this old man has to admit your strength, but the order and justice of the Soul Society cannot be violated. This old man must engrave this truth in the depths of your souls. 99 Yamamoto Yuanyuzi let out a loud drink. Bankai, don't think about it. Guan Yu's eyes were so bright that he couldn't see his pupils at all. Crazy Gold Watch. The 8 trigrams array is blooming like a flower. Turning slowly, it was like the grinding of time and space 410 dis, holding back Yamamoto Yuanyuzi's pace, making it difficult for him to make the next move. Eisen, who was on the side, approached him silently, and used the handcuffs given by Guan Yue to directly restrain the old man's most threatening knife-wielding hand. But his actions also aroused the great vigilance of Yamamoto Uenyuzi. After breaking free from the shackles of the chaotic gold watchman, he directly waved his sword to force Aizen back, trying to interrupt the unknown plan. Aizen reacted quickly, but he was still hit. Fortunately, the damage of absolute mist was absorbed. Otherwise, this blow would have caused him a severe blow. Without warning, the handcuffs suddenly tightened at this time and turned into a ring of light fixed in the void, while frantically absorbing the bound Ryatsu. In this way, it was Yamamoto's own Bankai who was interrupted instead. Yamamoto Uenyuzi did not lose his composure. He raised his hand and fired a splitting void to block in front of him. There was no way to say that the casting speed and forming efficiency were no faster than the defensive splitting void. He's going to use the time Beicut intercepts Guan Yue and Aizen to break the restrainer on his wrist. Yes. The old man judged from the physical effects that this was a device for restraining movement and Ryatsu's restraining sinners. However, he still underestimated Guan Yu's research results. This is certainly something for sinners. But how can it be defined by just shackles? 83. What is the Lock Soul Warden? Third more. Guan Yue is determined to promote industrialization in Soul Society and enter the high-tech era together with the present world in the 20th century. The props he made with his own hands with God Machine Hundred Refinements were so simple. However, the function is the function, and if it is destroyed, it is useless to say anything. Guan Yue broke through the translucent barrier with his body. The captain and Aizen were surprised when they met, but soon found some clues. Assimilation? No, it automatically disintegrates at the moment of touch. Aizen's thoughts flashed in his mind. Too late to think about more. Guan Yue has come to Yamamoto Uenyuzi close. The latter clenched his fist and fired like lightning. However, Guan Yue, who was hit, was just a phantom. It was Aizen who launched Kaika Suigetsu. The two of them used a trump card one after another, and Yamamoto Uenyuzi knew nothing about their means, so there was no reason to miss the trick. Maybe the right response can be made soon, but Guan Yue won't give him this chance. A click sounded. To Aizen's surprise, he actually took out another picture of the same handcuffs and handcuffed Yamamoto Uenyuzi. Damn boy! The old man was very angry, but the handcuffs are ridiculously powerful. Neither arm nor Ryatsu could shake it for a while. I'm sorry, Captain. If it doesn't make sense, I can only ask you to stay inside for a while. Don't worry. I will accompany you outside. Guan Yue used a regretful tone, but the smile on his face was very bright. Yamamoto Uenyuzi looked more and more annoyed. Do you think this will be able to trap the old man? Guan Yue actually closed his mouth at this time, and instead of arguing with him, he squeezed the sword mark and swiped in the air. I saw that the other half of the two pairs of handcuffs became dark and deep, and then continued to expand, forming a left and a right door, and the ring of light that originally bound the old man's hands also spread out a large number of spirits that inhibit the ability of the body. Of chains. In order to break free and release Ryatsu, Yamamoto Uenyuzi will be absorbed by the circle of light, and then generate a chain that inhibits his physical ability. Even if he does not actively release it, it will continue to be absorbed, like Zaraki Kenpachi's blindfold. But it is using Yamamoto Uenyuzi's own power to suppress himself. Not only that, the two doors opened and moved forward. The space where the old man was located was completely swallowed. Where is this waiting for someone to enter the door? It is clearly a void mouth. In the end, only a door with a lot of mysterious patterns was left standing above the void. Circular suppression based on Ryatsu and physical abilities, as well as a prison improved by the forbidden technique in time and space that can make people stop thinking. And finally, referring to the gate of hell, with a powerful Ryatsu prison guard outside the gate to suppress. 3. The sealing method of unity. If this is not delayed until tomorrow morning, I really can't help it. Guan Yue walked to the door and sat down on the void with his back against the door, looking very tired. How come? Don't you have other follow-up plans? Seeing that the dust had settled, Aizen retracted the knife and put his hands behind his back. He looked like an honest man, but the lingering smile on his face completely revealed the nature of lazy people. Yeah, I have a third plan. 99. Guan Yu glanced at him without concealing his thoughts. If the commander-in-chief has a tendency to break the cage ahead of time, I will activate the safety mechanism of this gate and send the people inside to Hueco Mundo, or the human world, or else it will be a broken world or a black voice. Anyway, it will randomly appear in other places. Time and space, thereby delaying time. As expected of the former team leader of the ward management team, no matter how thoughtful and skilled, he is unparalleled in detaining prisoners. Aizen pushed his glasses and turned around. Since you're going to sit here, I won't bother. 35. Rest in peace. If there are no accidents, there shouldn't be any more trouble for you. Guan Yu looked at his back and said leisurely, Trouble? Trouble like this, I don't mind. Swish. After all, Aizen disappeared. Of course you don't mind. I'll give you the opportunity to gather intelligence. Where can you find such a good thing? But then again, intelligence gathering without instrument support is my specialty. You just see, and I do take it, got it. A strange color flashed in Guan Yu's eyes. His palms were spread out, and an ordinary transparent crystal with uneven surface like a roadside stone lay quietly in the palm of his hand. In this way, the commander-in-chief's spiritual data, especially some Bankai, has been obtained, and even Aizen's spiritual data has been collected incidentally, and my Vanguard plan can finally be put on the agenda. 39. The other side. Aizen was walking on a deserted main road. Night falls, bringing the spread of shadows. In the darkness by the roadside, two people, one tall and one short, waited quietly here. When Aizen approached, the tall man knelt on the ground and said respectfully, Lord Aizen, do you need me to kill Guan Yu Kenpachi? The existence of this person has always been a huge hidden danger for us. Now he is fighting with the captain and is in a bad state. I am confident to take off his head. It was killing people at the beginning. And was it the mutilation of your own captain and teammates that made you wake up to something incredible? The silver-haired boy beside him laughed. Tosin Kaname said in a low voice without raising his head, Ikamaru, don't confuse my loyalty to Aizen-sama with something unbearable. There is no room for selfish desires on the road of practicing justice, and there is no room for tainted righteous heretics. It's scary, nah? Ikamaru Jin spread his hands. Then have you ever wondered why your Aizen-sama didn't do it himself? Could it be that you think you'll be more sure of you? Ikamaru. Okay, yes. Aizen interrupted the gunpowder-smelling conversation between the two. I can tell you with certainty that you are right. 35. Master Aizen. But it can't be done. What does it mean? Literally. Ignoring Tosin Kaname's consternation and not caring whether his loyalty would be shaken, Aizen raised his head and looked at the sky where Guan Yu was. Whether it's you, me, or we join forces, it's impossible to kill that man. You don't think he's in a bad shape right now? It was a misjudgment. His form never slipped, and the way he fought did not allow for any visible weakness. 55. My biggest takeaway from this encounter is not the apparent means he exhibits, but the pattern of his behavior. 35. In Guan Yu, Aizen sees a rich but more radical imagination similar to Urahara Kasuke. It's hard not to feel the urge to witness what he does. It made his every success seem so for granted. It seems to be destined to be full of mystery. Don't worry, yes, we're going to be with him for a long time. Like today's situation will never be the last. He needs our presence, and we need his presence. 84. This is the 46th room. Fourth more. This night is destined to make many people unable to sleep. Following the captains of several divisions, even the chief captain, who was the mainstay, had an accident. The first team members, headed by Chur Sasakaibe, immediately sought support from the two captains, Kairaka Shunsui and Shur Yukitake, who were the only ones who could still be contacted, and search for the whereabouts of the captain. But there is no need to send people to search. Guan Yu, Aizen, and Yamamoto Uenyuzi only discussed their combat power. They can be said to be the big three of Godiai 13. Although they did not have the will to kill after a battle, they retained a considerable part of their strength, but in the eyes of others they are still earth-shattering. The entire East 5th District was smashed. There are traces of war everywhere. It's quite a hassle to clean up, not to mention rebuilding after a disaster. Sasakaibe, who rushed to the scene, quickly found Guan Yu, who was guarding the portal of the void. After talking to him, he also figured out what happened, and he was relieved to learn that the captain was okay. Then, He took a group of people to sit with Guan Yu all night. No way. Guan Yu doesn't let anyone go. Sasuke had to bite the bullet and wait. Otherwise, what else can we do? Moreover, the current situation is complicated. Without the commander-in-chief giving orders, everyone seems to have lost their backbone, and they always feel that no matter what they do, it is inappropriate. In this case, they had no choice but to stand still. Guan Yu is very leisurely. Ignoring the strange gazes of a group of people in the sky and the world, he leaned his head against the door and soon fell asleep. This time, many people's impression of him was refreshed. But can't fall asleep. Aizen stopped making trouble. The captain was locked up, and the 46th room became deaf, even though thousands of Shinigami from each division had a frightening night. But it happened. It went through smoothly without disaster, until the sun rises the next day. Many Shinigami felt unreal. Is that just the end? Ended. Fourth squad. Urahara Kisuke walked out of the Central Public Large Ward with 2 dark circles under his eyes. As soon as he came out, he bumped into Yoruichi, who also stayed up all night. The brief conversation between the two also awakened Tessai Tsukabshi, who was taking a nap, and Kachiki, who was under him with Kid. Yesterday evening, when Yoruichi negotiated with Kayaraka Shunsui, he was the one who led the team to attack the 4th Division. The captain-level Ryatsu that Yoruichi felt was also Kachiki Kyukawa himself. Although it seemed to Kachiki that he had received a secret order from the commander-in-chief to blockade the 4th Division and rescue his colleagues who were trapped in the enemy, Tessai Tsukabshi didn't care about that. His task was to guard the gate of the 4th Division so that no one else would interfere with Urahara Kisuke's healing process. The two got into a fight without saying a word. Although the Kachiki Shangha who lost Bankai still has captain-level strength, he can't bite the hard bone of Tessai for a while. Moreover, in the area of the 4th team, no one dares to take care of the injured in the building. Using powerful moves, you can beat your hands and feet, and you can't solve them. Just then, Yoruichi arrived. Her white hits are unlimited. In this way, Kachiki Shangha also followed in the footsteps of his old boss, Yamamoto Uenyuzi, and was successfully won 2-on-1, and he is still tightly tied up to now. But Kachiki Shangha did not have the self-consciousness of being a prisoner, and asked in a cold voice, "How about your Excellency Yin Ling and your Excellency Tsang Chun? As the captain, you are secretly doing this kind of evil experiment. The captain will definitely punish you, and your buddies. Don't yell. Your commander-in-chief would have come a long time ago if he could have come." Yoruichi choked him angrily, then asked Urahara Kisuke, "Looking at your face, the treatment failed?" Hearing this, Kachiki Shangha didn't even bother to reply and looked at Urahara Kisuke nervously. If it wasn't for being tightly bound by the seal chain formed by Kid, he would definitely have jumped up and grabbed the collar by now. Urahara Kisuke took a deep breath and wanted to say something, but it turned into a long, speechless sigh. At this time, Uno and Aretsu also left the ward. It's not necessarily a failure. At least their lives were saved. Anyway, Captain Urahara, your efforts are worthwhile. Please don't blame yourself too much. After all, you are not the culprit that caused them to become like this, are you? Thank you for your enlightenment. I'm just ashamed of my incompetence. Don't look at me like this. I actually think I'm a good scientist, but now it seems that I'm still too confident in myself. 99 Urahara Kisuke had a bitter expression on his face. So what is the result? Kachiki Shangha was almost driven mad by their riddlers. This Urahara Kisuke was about to explain. Suddenly, a group of people broke into the corridor and blocked the front and rear. The leader shouted, "Suspect Urahara Kisuke and his accomplices Tessai Tsukabshi, Shihoin Yoruichi, please don't make senseless resistance. The 46th room will call you." 5 the 3 whose names were called looked at each other and were not surprised. "Captain Uzuha, they've given it to you temporarily," Urahara Kisuke said softly. Uno and Aretsu nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Please go with confidence." Or the underground council hall. The sages and the judges are condescending and unceremoniously pass judgments on the sinners. The captain of the 12th Division, Urahara Kisuke, conducted illegal research for his own selfishness, causing others to follow suit, resulting in the death and injury of many captain-level Shinigami and a large number of team members, and seriously disrupting the order of Siriidi. So he was sentenced to permanent exile. The chief kid chief Tessai Tsukabshi, without reporting his knowledge, assisted Urahara Kasuke to escape and attacked his colleagues, sentenced to be deprived of the position of chief kid, exiled to the world, and not allowed to set foot in the Soul Society until he was summoned. 2nd Division Captain Shihoin Yoruchi, who deceived and secretly helped 2 suspects. This is an act of betrayal of Godai 13. As the head of one of the 4 nobles, his nature is even worse, so he was sentenced to be deprived of the 2nd Division. Captain's post, never hired. 99. These 3 verdicts, Urahara, Yoruchi, and Tessai, were all surprised. Not that the sentence is too heavy, but too light. Even took off the hat on Urahara Kasuke's head called the culprit. This is not 46 rooms. Or, the real mastermind behind the scenes has been caught, so you're too lazy to kill them all? Urahara Kasuke also asked this question. In this regard, the chief judge replied, according to the investigation, it can be basically determined that it was a false act, trying to lure the powerful Shinigami into depravity and add subordinates to himself. 29 false. No, absolutely not. Urahara Kasuke's face changed greatly upon hearing this. You guys are being misled. Who is in charge of the investigation? I think this incident must be the work of someone inside Siriidii, because... Shut up. As a sinner, what right do you have to teach us how to do things in turn? All you have to do now is execute the penalty. Go back, sinners, and don't let your charges continue to increase. But don't take this opportunity to track down the real murderer. Urahara Kasuke was sweating profusely. At this time, Yoruchi pressed his shoulders. Enough, Kasuke. Miss Yoruchi, don't be useless. Urahara Kasuke lowered his head and fell silent. On the contrary, Yoruchi stepped forward and asked loudly, about the injured captains and team members. What do you plan to do? Although I am very sympathetic to the unrelated people who have been implicated, but the mutation they are infected with is hollow. In order to maintain the future order of Siriidii and to show the dignity of Godai 13, we have decided to take measures according to the usual rules against hollow. Yoruchi's pupils shrank. Urahara Kasuke raised his head in amazement, and Tessai Tsukabshi sighed. Sure enough, this is the 46th room. How could it be possible to change SX? 85. Lonely Ghost. First, coincidentally, it was the 2nd hour after the verdict was handed down. A theft case occurred at the 4th Division Comprehensive Relief Center. It wasn't medical equipment that was lost. It was the Shinigami who were lying on the hospital bed. All those who were corroded by hollow, without exception, vanished without a trace, as if they had evaporated out of thin air. The 46th room dispatched hidden maneuvers to intervene in the investigation, and finally came to a conclusion consistent with the case of Rakangai's disappearance of souls. The injured Shinigami died due to excessive hollow erosion. Their spiritual bodies collapsed and disintegrated, and they did not even leave their clothes behind. Down. And the list of victims is made public. The entire Siriidii was shaken violently again. 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. 5 captains were killed. The captains and commanders of the 2nd Division, the 12th Division, and the Kid Congregation were dismissed from their posts and exiled. The sacrifices of the captain-class deputies like Kuna Mashiro, Saragaki Hayori, Kachiki Sosen, and Hachijin became less conspicuous in comparison. Many team members of the squad received this news, and they all spontaneously held a mourning and farewell ceremony for the captain. Intense sadness spreads rapidly inside Godai 13, and more Shinigami join the See-Off team. As of noon, when the sun is at its strongest, the See-Off team has exceeded 1,000 people. Right now, they are all gathered on the cliff top of Bipolar Hill near the first team building. Everyone had a white cloth wrapped around their arms or foreheads, and their faces were heavy and solemn. Their intentions were indeed conveyed. However, it made the victims feel more complicated. At the bottom of the Bipolar Hill at the foot of the Seeing Off team, there is a vast wilderness, like a small world with false blue sky and white clouds. There are no running animals or vegetation in the wilderness, only bare rocks and rocks. This is the secret base that Urahara Kasuke and Yoruchi once created out of playfulness. A group of people in hospital gowns stood or sat together. No one has any intention of making fun of and enlivening the atmosphere. Heavy, depressing, and anger and powerlessness. This is their main theme now. What are these guys doing? Can't they stay away when others are in a bad mood? 35 Hirako Shinji squatted on a rock in a very unsightly posture. The messy Ryatsu just above was rushing into his perception like wind and rain, making him upset, and he couldn't help but complain. Their Ryatsu is weak. 99 Muguruma Kinsei leaned aside with a blank face and said, "The more obvious they feel, the more it shows how intense their mood ups and downs are. Of course I know. Just because I know, I don't want to see them wasting their feelings here." The more Hirako Shinji spoke, the lower his voice was. His eyes were drooping, and a shadow was cast under his bangs, so he couldn't see the expression. It's okay to die in battle, but it can be calculated by others. How can a guy who is almost stupid to accept the mourning of others? What stupid thing are you talking about? Shinji, you're the only one here, okay? Hiyori, who was directly opposite him, glared at him, and rarely let go of the original double ponytail, which seemed to be a bit more feminine than usual. Chuanshi and I were accidentally trapped, but you jumped down knowing there was a trap, saying you were bald or complimenting you. Your head was completely sunken. 95, it's not to save you. I really don't know good people, but my mind is indeed a little confused. I don't remember the specific process. How did I get it? Hey, Xiaobo, Luo, Wu, Ross, you guys, are you there too? Can you give me some hints? It seems that because of the so-called hollow relationship, my memory is confused. Hirako rubbed his temples and shouted at his companions. Don't ask me, I'm in a mess too, Luo Wu said. I'm even worse. I feel that artistic inspiration has become extremely scarce, and this thing will destroy my talent as an artist, wipe my tears. Rhodes said, I remember very clearly that you were eroded by hollow when you caught Mr. Chuanshi and others. Captain Guan Yue and I spent a lot of effort to suppress you. I was the first to lose because of my lack of strength. It seems that Captain Guan Yue didn't waste the opportunity one created, overpowered us, and brought us back to Siriidi. Hachigen slowly recounted what happened while reminiscing. But his memory is also false. It was Guan Yue who instructed Juwu to perform a memory modification operation while implanting the old farm work, erasing the original memory and creating a fictional paragraph to replace it. In this way, the memory is not much, basically cut off the possibility of recovery. Ask for flowers. Guan Yue, I really owe him a big favor. Hirako Shinji sighed heavily. Isn't it? At this moment, Urahara Kisuke came over with a relaxed tone. When he came, the atmosphere suddenly changed. Various captains and more than 50 team members cast their gazes one after another. Last night when I treated everyone, it was really thrilling. If Mr. Guan Yue dragged the captain, including me, no one could sit here and chat, so everyone should be happy and survive. It was a hard-won surprise. If everyone continues to be so downcast, wouldn't it be disrespectful to those who are desperately trying to save you? It's easy to put it. How can people be happy now with this result? Hiyori bit his lip, turned his head, and looked as if he was about to cry at any time. We are dead now, dead. What if we survive? There is no place for us in this world. The atmosphere that had been slightly improved was solidified again because of this heartfelt remark. More than 50 ordinary team members who were implicated looked at each other, their eyes filled with confusion. Yes. How about surviving? In Siriidi, they're already victims. Cannot go back. Family, friends, seniors, and even lovers. All the bonds are cut off. Lonely ghost. I don't know who came up with the sentence. I don't know what people think, but I can't take this breath. 35 Chuanshi slammed his right fist on the rock with a bang. The rocks did not explode and splash like the effect caused by his usual fighting style, but turned into countless rubble after the silence, sliding down like quicksand. I'm pretty sure it was Shinigami who attacked me from behind. What kind of conspiracy? The 46 rooms nonsense can only deceive themselves. Point 35. As long as I'm still alive, I'll try my best to pull the BD out and beat him to the death. 10 years or 100 years, I'll keep exercising and build up strength for the day of revenge. 99 Revenge. This word hurt everyone's heart. Awaken their pain. Anger because of pain. Anger brings hatred, and hatred will force a person forward. 3. 85. I am your great benefactor. Second more. Indeed, it's not okay if you don't get this account back. Hirako sneered. His words also resonated with everyone. For a time, he shared his hatred with the enemy and was gearing up for it. Seeing this scene, Urahara Kasuke heaved a sigh of relief and smiled bitterly inwardly. He really doesn't have the ability to speak in this area. He can't inspire people with words like Miss Yuruchi and Mr. Guan Yue. I don't want to pour cold water on everyone, but now the enemy is hiding very deep. The most important thing is that Tessai and I can't stay in the Soul Society and have to go to the world, so everyone come with us too? The gate of crossing the world has been built. I want to stay in Soul Society. The silver bell of Kachiki uttered suddenly. I have lived in Soul Society all my life, and I don't want to deviate from my native land in my old age. I plan to go to Rukongai with 410 Songchun and take my subordinates to live in seclusion. When the name was mentioned, the gentleman with a face that looked like Byakuya and the team members didn't say a word, obviously tacitly acquiescing to the old man's decision. Captain Kachiki. I'm no longer the captain. Just call me by my name, Mr. Silverbell. I really want to respect your wishes, but with all due respect, let's not say how you should leave the current Siri IDI. Even if you are lurking in Rukongai, the enemy will find you sooner or later and attack you. Don't forget the earliest ghost disappearance case happened in Rukongai. Urahara Kasuke said solemnly. Everyone's identities can't be exposed now. It's unrealistic to expect someone to come to the rescue. It's too risky to do so. Mr. Yin Ling doesn't want to see his subordinates being murdered by the other party again, right? No. Then let Song Chun and others go to the world, and I will stay behind. No matter what, I am the head of the Kachiki family, and I will die on this land to fight the enemy to the end. Captain? 35, father. 35, the faces of the 6th Division team member and Kachiki's Song Chun changed greatly, never expecting that Kachiki Yin Ling would be so fierce. Don't let young people worry about you at such an old age, okay? Suddenly, a voice fell softly. In an instant, the sound of swords unsheathed came together. Everyone was on alert. No wonder they were so sensitive. The lesson was so unforgettable that it was inevitable to overreact if there was a little trouble in a short period of time. But when everyone followed the sound and saw a figure sitting on a rock more than 10 meters high, the chilling atmosphere suddenly became subtle. Guan Yue. Hirako Shinji called out the person's name in surprise. Yeah, seeing you guys in such a good spirit makes me feel more at ease, hiss. 55, Guan Yu waved his hand casually. Halfway through, I couldn't help but take a deep breath. Everyone looked at him strangely. No, mainly looking at the young girl in black beside Guan Yu. Needless to say, nature is a materialized absolute fog. The latter is holding an ice towel to lightly apply the former's red and swollen forehead to relieve pain. Mr. Guan Yu, when did you come here? Don't be so frightening. You thought it was a chasing soldier. Urahara Kasuke raised his head and shouted. One step ahead of you. 35, Guan Yu's answer surprised everyone. Then, he took out the portable messenger machine from his arms and gestured. I knew as soon as the verdict was issued, and I also knew that Urahara and Yuruchi would never let the patients who they managed to save their lives be dealt with. I guess you will bring everyone here and secretly build a gate through the world to escape to the present world together. So I just came over and waited. 35. Mr. Guan Yu, wouldn't you be kind enough to see him off? Urahara Kasuke looked serious. Of course not, Guan Yu said without thinking. In other words, you are the executioner sent by the 46th room to secretly execute us? 55 Iori couldn't help but jumped out and stared at him. As soon as these words came out, everyone subconsciously clenched the handle of the knife. You say that without a conscience. 99, Guan Yu was speechless. In order to save you, Captain Azahua and I took the risk of dereliction of duty to allow the suspect Urahara to take action. I also went to intercept the captain and held him for more than 10 hours. I think I had done my best. Look at me. The injury on the forehead was knocked out by the commander-in-chief with a cane, and I was not allowed to use Kid to treat it. Urahara, you feel your conscience and say, when have I ever suffered this kind of grievance? You all owe me your life. Don't say I'm not here to kill you, or I'm really here to kill you. If you still have some reason, you should honestly slaughter it. This painful criticism was made bloody by the people, and the expression on the face was extremely wonderful. The atmosphere was extremely embarrassing. No way. Who told Guan Yue to tell the truth? At least on the surface. Yes, I just told Mr. Hirako that Mr. Guan Yue is everyone's great benefactor. Urahara Kisuke nodded in agreement. Everyone couldn't help but cast a look of contempt. Wasn't it just the subject of your BD? Now it's posing again. Okay, that's it for the insignificant greetings. Before Hiyori couldn't help but beat Urahara Kisuke, Guan Yue spoke up again and brought back the topic of running away. Urahara is right. I'm not here to see you off, strictly speaking. I'm here to deliver a letter. Letter. This is it. Guan Yue held a letter between his fingertips and threw it towards Kichiki Silverbell. The latter raised his hand to catch it, looked over and over, and found that there was no signature, so he could not help but cast an inquiring look at Guan Yue. This is for you and for Captain Hirako and others, except 0.3 Urahara and Tessai. Urahara Kisuke pinched his chin thoughtfully, as if to guess who wrote the letter. After getting the confirmed answer, Kichiki Inling no longer hesitated and opened the envelope and spread it out. Not much content, just a few lines. It can be seen that the writer did not have the extra mood to spend pen and ink. Maybe it was forgotten because of this. There is also no signature at the end of the letter. But the handwriting of Kichiki Silverbell is all too familiar. Almost impossible to admit wrong. Even if it is written in a hurry, the vigorous and powerful font is still very recognizable. Your Excellency Yuan Liujai? Kichiki Silverbell pupil earthquake. Soon, I read all the content carefully. His expression became more and more complicated, and he was silent for a long time. 86. Secret Order and Captain Vacancy 3rd. Hirako Shinji on the side waited anxiously and couldn't help but ask, Master Kichiki, what is written on this? Could you please pass it on, or just show us the letter? No, this letter cannot be seen by people after me. Kichiki Inling not only refused, but also burned the letter in his hand to ashes with kids' fire. Everyone was a little dissatisfied and felt that he was too selfish. But his neat approach made everyone seem to realize something. Secret letter. No. Secret order. Luo Wu whispered softly. The only ones who can issue secret orders to us, or who are qualified to order us, are the guys in room 46. The more Chuanchi said, the quieter his voice became, and finally, it was inaudible. Father, could this letter be? Kichiki Tsangchun was interrupted by Kichiki's silver bell, raising his hand halfway through the question. The latter did not reply, and looked directly at Urahara Kisuke. It's time to go. Your Excellency Urahara, please open the gate of crossing the world. Urahara Kisuke was stunned for a moment, then agreed with a smile. The attitude change of Kichiki Silverbell has fully explained the problem 28, although I don't know what is written on it. But there's no doubt, it's a good thing for these lonely ghosts who seem to have lost hope and are left full of vengeance. Even, it may not be a lonely ghost anymore. After Guan Yue sent the letter out, he sat on the stone quietly and watched everyone gather in an orderly manner, like a regular army preparing to go out, and his mental outlook took on a new look. Urahara Kisuke chanted mantras and opened the portal to the world. Led by the more familiar Tessai Tsukabshi, Hirako Shinji and other captains lead the way. More than 50 team members followed. Finally, after the death of Kichiki Inling and his son, before stepping into the gate, the silver-haired old man looked into the distance with emotion. A black shadow stands on the top of the rocky mountain. It doesn't look very real. However, Kichiki Inling put down the last trace of regret and stepped into the piercing gate without hesitation. It's time for me to go too. 35 Urahara Kisuke raised his head and looked at this false sky. Even if he was extremely optimistic in the eyes of Hirako Shinji and others, he would inevitably show a bit of loneliness at this moment. Although it's more convenient for me to mess around in a more relaxed environment, and I don't have to worry about being called by the guards all day long to seal up the institute, but I still feel a little bit reluctant. Mr. Guan Yue, you must be very reluctant to let me go, right? 35. What are you talking about? When you were in the Soul Society, I rarely met with you. If I really need you, I'd better use the special messenger machine to contact you. Otherwise, I can go to the present world to find you. To me, whether you live in the present world or live in the Soul Society, there is basically no difference. Using through the gate can also go directly to your door. Maybe it's more convenient than visiting Soul Society. Guan Yu looked at him like an idiot. Hearing this, Urahara Kisuk froze. I know what you're going to say. Don't worry. Even without you, I can handle the black hand lurking in the dark. If it doesn't help, isn't there Captain Yuruchi? Although she has been dismissed, she probably won't. Just stay in Shihoin's old house and be a lady. It's better to say that in her current status, she is completely unrestricted by her position and can run around freely. It is really reassuring to have such a free person. The most important thing is that the captain loses his temper. Didn't hack me, and the other captains aren't idiots with a long memory. 99. Suffice it to say that the situation is not as bad as you might think, that this Siriidii isn't going to have some clowns to call the shots. Guan Yu goes straight to the point. Urahara Kisuk laughed at himself. Yeah, it's ridiculous that a loser like me is worried about the people who survive. Having Mr. Guan Yu and Ms. Yuruchi in Soul Society is also a kind of restraint, so that I can settle down and devote all my energy to the goal of how to remove Hollow. 35. Remember to hide Jayaku. Guan Yu admonished, intentionally or not. I'm an expert at hide and seek. Urahara Kisuk waved his hand confidently and then strode into the gate. I don't know what he left behind. After he entered, the stone base of the temporarily built world-piercing gate shattered with a bang. People are gone. Guan Yu has no reason to stay in this empty underground training ground. Maybe the next time someone comes here, it will be 100 years later. A few days later, the storm gradually subsided. The team members who were immersed in grief also returned to their posts and resumed their jobs. The restoration of the buildings in the palace is also progressing gradually. The latter is okay. The former soon realizes that the workload has greatly increased. It's not because there's more to do. It's because it's complicated, obviously. The impact of the departure of Hirako Shinji and others on Godiai 13 continues. A division with a vice captain is fine, with experience in handling team affairs. It is not a problem to carry the burden, but the 6th, 9th, and 12th divisions don't even have a vice captain. The pressure suddenly came to the shoulders of the 3rd seat. Even Kachiki Xianghe, a master of the captain series, was too busy for a while, and even the funeral held by the Kachiki family couldn't even find time to attend. Seeing that Godiai 13 had major problems in the operation, Yamamoto Yuanyuzi would not sit idly by and called 410 to hold several captain meetings in order to select suitable talents as soon as possible. The 10th team was missing before, and I still have to wait patiently to give some young people more opportunities to sharpen themselves and strive to become stronger. But now in Godiai 13, only 1 for 8, 11, 13, and 5 captains are still alive. Counting the 10th division, 8 captain positions were vacated at once. It is simply burning eyebrows, and it is impossible to take it slow. As mentioned above, the current situation is urgent. Godiai 13 needs a new captain to step up and take on the responsibility of maintaining the Soul Society. The first team, Captain's Office. As always, the captains took their place. But what was different from usual was that there were only 4 teams left in the 2 rows, 2 on each side, and the chief captain stood in the middle. The symmetry was symmetrical, but it looked a bit shabby. Not worthy of the name Godiai 13. Even if you say that Mr. Shan, Kairaka Shunsui, took off his straw hat and scratched his head in distress. Where are you going to find so many candidates at this time? This is not 1 or 2, but a full 8 captains' vacancies. Bankai study is not that simple. Even the 4 major nobles only have 1 in several generations, not to mention that the captains have been changed too diligently in the past few decades, which means that talent is also consumed quickly. Bureau G87. The little bee blocking the road, Forthmore. Jingle is right, this gap is too big and cannot be filled in a short time. Jeshiro's face turned pale. It can be seen that he is not in good condition today, but he still insists on attending while sick. After all, the current situation does not allow him to recuperate at ease. My suggestion is to first distribute the team of captains to the senior officers, and then select the best ones based on their abilities and performance, and transfer them to the vacant vice-captain position. Of course, if the right talents can be selected from the grassroots, they can be promoted directly. To the position of vice-captain, In short, first ensure the normal operation of each division. Captain Yusohana, what do you think? Yamamoto Uenyuzi looked at the oldest captain besides himself. I basically agree with Captain Jushiro's suggestion, but it's better to fill the captain's position as soon as possible. Otherwise, even if it can be dragged on, it may not be a good thing in the end. Unohana Retsu's overtones, including Guan Yue, can be heard. Decentralization is easy, but it is not easy to withdraw, especially when the new captain took office. It was troublesome to run in at first, and now he has to face another layer of resistance. If multiple captains encounter this situation at the same time, it will inevitably lead to internal discord and class conflicts, which is not conducive to the overall operation of Godai 13. After all, it is still necessary to fill the gap as soon as possible, rather than making people accustomed to the existence of this gap. Guan Yu speaks very bluntly. Then let's do it simultaneously, and let the senior officers in the squad without the captain and vice captain form a team to work together to handle team affairs temporarily. Besides, the four of you go to find a suitable captain for this old man. Yamamoto Uenyuzi made the final decision. 39 Kairaka Shunsui was dumbfounded. No, old man Sean, you asked us to find? Idiot! Yamamoto Motoyanaji opened his eyes and was angry. If you want to go, go quickly. The captain's meaning is actually, if you can't find it, just pick a few good seedlings and train them. Help them learn Bankai first, and then sit in the captain's position logically. If there is any inadequacy, it will take a few more years to make up for it. Guan Yu yawned and said casually, I see. Kairaka Shunsui rolled his eyes. In an instant, I thought of more than a dozen plans to play with my sister paper in an open and honest way, under the pretext of cultivating talents. Captain, in fact, there is someone on my side that I would like to recommend. Guan Yu's words changed. Guan Yu's recommendation? It's really rare. Jushiro was a little surprised. Yamamoto Uenyuzi glanced at Guan Yu and asked, Who? Aizen Suk, vice captain of Division 5. A teasing smile appeared at the corner of Guan Yu's mouth. You should have already experienced his strength. Sukuin? My impression of him has always been that he is a good guy who treats people like Jushiro. Does it mean that he also has good skills like Jushiro? Kairaka Shunsui touched his chin and said, Humph. The old man snorted coldly. More than good. A few days ago, Captain Guan Yu and this man confronted the old man with swords. If not for the intervention of Deputy Captain Aizen, the old man would have taken Uruhara Kasuk and others. Karaku, Jushiro, Unohana Retsu looked delicate. They knew exactly what happened that night. I also know why the old man's face is so stinky now. And Guan Yu smiled so brightly. Although the truth is revealed now, Uruhara Kasuk can be considered to have cleared some of his suspicions. Guan Yu's assistance cannot be defined as betrayal. Who cannot be bored with this? But then again, it is not something that ordinary people can do to make the Godai 13 captain collapse. Guan Yu, a Kenpachi who has been in the team for a few years, is still a junior with shallow qualifications, not to mention Aizen, who joined the team much earlier than Guan Yu. But he is only a vice captain after all. Just because these two people fought hard to win the chief captain, this is a very incredible thing for the old captains like Kairaka Shunsui, who know the horror of the old man. Aside from these irrelevant festivals, Aizen's deputy captain is recognized as a strong old man. And his character is just like what Haru Shuei said, very similar to Shiro. If I really want to say, Guan Yu is also very similar to Haru Shuei. The battle with the two of them even made the old man feel like he was fighting between two disciples. Yamamoto Uenyuzi said, This rating is really low. How am I similar to the leader of the Jing band? Guan Yu raised his eyebrows and asked, Is he that lustful? Well, don't say that. Old man Sean said that. Maybe we get along unexpectedly. Kairaka Shunsui stood there and winked, as if to say don't say anything and take you out to play later. Guan Yu pouted. Play? It doesn't matter. There is nothing to do for the time being anyway. What's more, there should be a good relationship between colleagues. The old man on the side of the deputy captain of Aizen further confirmed his qualifications. If there is no problem, the three of you, except Jushiro, should accompany the old man to serve as the chief judge of the captain's examination. After passing the examination, he will be appointed as the captain of the 5th Division. 35 Upon hearing this, Guan Yue and Kairaka Shunsui felt a little uncomfortable. What's so fun about the captain's exam? It's basically a cutscene and a complete waste of time. Guan Yue is also too lazy to watch Aizen perform Oscar-level acting skills. Wouldn't it be better to learn from old captains like Jingle and learn from the experience of being a captain? After the meeting, Jingle originally wanted to take Guan Yue to the pub to open his eyes, but unexpectedly, he met an acquaintance as soon as he left the gate of the first team. Sister. Guan Yu looked at the broken bees who were about to slip away by the roadside in amazement. Well, the broken bee turned stiffly, the horses, too far pretending to be natural, but it was very unnatural to say hello. Oh, it's Guan Yu, what a coincidence. Didn't expect to meet you here, just finished the captain's meeting. What are you waiting here for me for? Guan Yu and Jingle looked at each other. The latter patted him on the shoulder very interestingly, gave him an encouraging look, and left first. When he left, no outsiders were present. Broken Bee also relaxed a lot, but he was still stubborn. I'm not waiting for you. I'm at Yorichi-sama. Guan Yu didn't say anything, just looked at her with a strange look. Seeing her face slowly turn red, her whole body trembled slightly. Yes, the girl remembered. Yorichi has long since been dismissed and is ineligible for the captain's meeting. Of course, it's no surprise that free feral cats are everywhere. The problem is, Yorichi just sent her out. 88. Bees that have become smooth, the first back in time a little bit. Snapped. 2 hands fell heavily on the girl's shoulders. It can be seen from the strength that the owner of these hands must have made some kind of crucial decision. In fact, it is Broken Bee. You are the captain of the 2nd Division, and you will also be the commander-in-chief of Secret Mobility. A dash! The sudden and important task made the Broken Bee panic. After reacting, his little head shook like a rattle, and he waved his hands one after another. No, 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 no. How can someone like me grab Yorichi-sama's position? What are you talking about? That's not my job anymore. The position of the captain of the 2nd Division has been removed, but hasn't the title of Commander-in-Chief of Secret Mobility been retained? Yeah, but I don't want to. Yorichi responded quite readily. No, don't you want to do it? Bumblebee was dumbfounded. Shinigami didn't say that he resigned. The group of people in the Threshold team is the best example. Did Room 46 secretly put pressure on you? That's not true. It's just that I simply feel that I'm getting older, and I should give the younger generation a chance to show it. That's it. Don't you want 410 to take this opportunity to completely recover his freedom so that he can do whatever he wants? Please tell me that you don't think so. Brobe, it's too verbose, but it won't appeal to men. I'll admit that there are some reasons, but it's more inappropriate. Yorichi scratched his cheek and explained patiently. Look, because of my own opinion, Secret Mobility, which was originally independent of the 13th team, and the 2nd team are almost tied together, and the relationship is too close. After the new captain takes office, if there is someone else in charge, secret maneuver, this does not mean that the rights are divided in half, which is not a good thing. That's why I thought, let the newcomer take over with Secret Mobility, so that everyone can save money. 99 and then pick me? Broken Bee reluctantly accepted this explanation. The Bee family has always been a retainer of the Shihoin family, and she will take over as the commander-in-chief of Secret Mobility. Although she may be suspected of being overpowered, if Yorichi voluntarily surrenders and shows her attitude, it will not attract any rumors. Rather, this is a better result. After all, as Yorichi said, instead of ushering in an unrelated outsider to be the captain and causing the division of power, it is better to simply package all the benefits and send them to their own hands. In this way, not only will the trouble be gone, but the lost captaincy will be returned to the Shihoin family in another form. As far as stop-loss is concerned, this is already the limit operation. Can't demand anything more. Since you agree, that's the decision. Captain and Commander-in-Chief are up to you. No, no, no. There is absolutely no need for this. Since you are planning to recommend me as the new captain, it is no big deal for Yorichi-sama to continue to be in charge of Secret Mobility. At least I think that with Yorichi-sama around, my work enthusiasm and efficiency will only be limited. Higher and higher. Watching Broken Bee's eyes light up, Yorichi lied without changing his face. Actually, the old people in the family want me to go home and get married and take care of the housework, so it's a pity that I really don't have time to take care of both sides, bro. Are you my subordinate? Worry about your boss. The only one I can ask for now is you. It's just you. Only you. The broken bee, who was still a little hesitant at first, was directly sunk by Yuruchi's last sentence. I see. Lord Yuruchi has said so. I will definitely carry the banner of the 2nd Division and secret mobility. I will never live up to your expectations of me. Well, my subordinates are to have this kind of momentum. 35 Yuruchi was very satisfied and seemed to be worried that the broken bee would go back on it, and immediately asked, I remember that you started practicing Bankai 10 years ago. You should have learned it by now, right? The broken bee, who had just made a lofty rhetoric, looked erratic, and his hands and feet could not move naturally. Syad. Yuruchi's eyelids jumped when he saw this. With his hands, he fixed the head of the bee again with a smack, staring at her eyes like a torch. Tell me the truth. Is your Bankai done? Not yet. Bumblebee looked frustrated. How long will it take? 3 or 4 years. Yuruchi's face darkened. In other words, she still has to do 3 or 4 years of work. And the most important thing is that although the position of captain has been dismissed as the commander-in-chief of secret mobility, she is still the highest commander of the 2nd Division. This has become, I handle the daily team affairs for myself, and there is no way to force the vice-captain Omida Nozomi into as the captain. She didn't know how the other squads were. She only knew that she was in more pain than before. I can borrow Kasuk's god-turning body for your use. I don't use that man's stuff. In the end, I blame that guy for his dirty hands and feet, which caused Yuruchi-sama to be dismissed. 35 Broken Bee has always stood firmly against Urahara Kasuk, and it is useless to persuade anyone. One more point, my communication with Zanpakutō has reached the final stage, and there is basically no resistance just because Ryatsu is insufficient. So, in her current situation, the gate in front of her was opened, the guard gave way, and she stepped over the threshold with 1 foot, but at this moment she was exhausted and needed a rest to recover some strength before taking another step. 1 foot. The situation is quite embarrassing. It is estimated that the guards next to her are anxious for her. It's no wonder that the thin-skinned Broken Bee is embarrassed to say it. Not enough Ryatsu. Yuruchi racked his brains and thought hard. Finally, she came up with a solution. Go find Guan Yue. Unlike Kasuk, who only tinkers with techniques, Master Guan Yue has too many abilities, and in recent years, the Shinigami of the 11th team has been significantly strengthened, and he definitely has a way to help you improve Ryatsu. Are you looking for Guan Yue for help? Broken Bee is a little embarrassed, or rather a little bit of a face. This is an excellent opportunity to connect with each other. I heard that he has a good relationship with the leader of the Jing Band. He often goes out drinking and chatting with a group of female team members. I wonder if he will get married before me. Yuruchi continued to lie, and out of the corner of his eye, he secretly observed Broken Bee. The latter's expression was changing, just as wonderful as opening a dying workshop. After a while, she coughed lightly and said solemnly, although we don't work together anymore, as a senior, I still need to be concerned about the future of the younger generation. I don't mean anything special to him, but I just want to persuade me not to waste my great talent and waste my time on irrelevant things. In this way, the practice was delayed. It just so happened that I set an example to let him realize the importance of cultivation in the process of helping me to cultivate and to inspire him to move forward. Broken Bee, you've also become a lot smoother. 89. Reverse Dihua, second, that's how it is. The camera turns back to the outside of the first team's quarters. Guan Yu nodded in understanding after listening to Bro B's account of the cause and effect. Look for me to help you cultivate. It's easy to say, the affairs of senior sister are mine. Thanks. Broken Bee shifted his gaze in a guilty conscience. In fact, in the process of speaking just now, a lot of deletions have been made, at least some of Yuruchi's words, and the final reason are not told to Guan Yu. After all, what you say does not mean that you have been concerned about certain things, which is likely to cause more misunderstandings. But then again, Yuruchi-sama really isn't talking about it. Recalling the Jing Band leader who had just appeared beside Guan Yu, Broby froze in his heart. From the fancy women's coat, you can see what kind of character this captain has for more than a century. Mixing with such people, Guan Yu will definitely become a playboy in the future. When Shibi, who didn't pay much attention to Yoruichi's warning, thought of this possibility, she felt a sense of urgency for no reason. Maybe this is the so-called responsibility? She herself is not very sure. But anyway, something must be done, or the sense of urgency won't dissipate. When is Senpai going to start? 99, of course, supervised to the end. Am I being targeted by the Threshold team? No, I was just thinking of other work. 55 Bumblebee's pretty face flushed, and she quickly explained. I have time for that, so I will try to get it done in one go, or take over the second team quickly. 35, that's right. The commander-in-chief is also rushing, asking the remaining captains to find suitable candidates and potential stocks, and conduct surprise training for the latter. Senior sister came at the right time, and now private affairs have become public affairs. I have no reason to refuse. Guan Yu didn't pay much attention to the abnormality of Broken Bee. From what he knew about the girl, he knew very well that she had a sullen temperament and would always think about something. It was impossible to ask, and there was no need to ask anyway. Unimportant things are quickly forgotten. And the important thing is, Broby can't hide his thoughts at all. If he keeps entangled, he will accidentally expose himself sooner or later. Afterwards, the two returned to the 11th team together. On the road, Brobe asked seemingly inadvertently, Guan Yu, I just saw you and the leader of the Jing band come out together. It seems that you have a good relationship after you became the leader. It's all right after becoming the captain. There are too many things, but in this respect, it is not as good as before. With most of the captains, the leader of the Jing band is a rare leader who can talk to the younger generation. I think most Shinigami, it is necessary to learn more from him, so that the working atmosphere of Seriidii is not so serious. Guan Yu said with emotion. Learn more? Broken Bee twitches in the corners of her eyes. It really got spoiled. Also, dislike the work atmosphere is too serious? Is it possible to be like a tavern full of beautiful women, everyone drinking and chatting together? Yes, that's right. It is indeed much easier than now, and everyone's work pressure is not so great, but this will bring more serious hidden dangers, such as workplace, chaos, or something. Just thinking about it made her face feel hot. No, absolutely not. The situation is more serious than expected. Guan Yu's idea has been misguided. It is not known that Guan Yu, who has infinitely misinterpreted his intentions at Broken Bee, continues to express his thoughts. There are some things that can only be told to you, Senior. Tell me if the current 13th team is too depressing. A city of this size is dead, and the laws are obviously not so strict, but everyone has passed. You have to be careful. The nerves are too tense. Like my 11th team, the guy from Ghost Rock City brought out a group of robbers. Although their combat power is not too bad, they're too hostile and not like a regular army at all. I spent several years training them with great results. The next step, I decided to follow the 7th generation Kenpachi, increase the proportion of female players in the team in order to reconcile the overall atmosphere. Broken Bee opened his mouth and hesitated. Since Guan Yu became the captain of the 11th division, she also conducted an in-depth investigation of this famous division. To say that the most famous Kenpachi in recent generations is the 7th generation Kenpachi Kayashiki. And the 11th team he led has another alias, which impressed Broken Bee deeply, called the Flower Warrior Group. According to the gossip in the bridal town, Kenpachi Karyashiki has a very good personal relationship with Kayaraka Shunsui. Even if he goes to the Rakangai border to fight, he will occasionally catch up and run to the scene to have a celebration drink. When Guan Yu said that he wanted to follow the example of Kenpachi Karyashiki, the image of Guan Yu sitting on the battlefield full of corpses, surrounded by a group of beautiful soldiers singing and dancing, could not help but emerge in the mind of the bees. 2. Unbearable. Guan Yu just chatted with Broken Bee word by word, and the two came to the team house in Boundtown. Because of excessive brain supplementation, Broken Bee, who was in a very heavy heart, didn't even care to watch the complex of buildings that looked like an imperial city. However, when she was about to step into the city gate, she still noticed one not far away. Should it be a ring or a simple dirt slope? In short, it was a field similar to a sumo match. Nearby residents gathered around to watch the excitement, and a group of elite warriors who knew that they were going to fight at first glance put their hands there, ready to take the stage and participate in the war at any time. What are those people doing? Tournament. Remember the rules I set in Maggot's Nest? Pretty much the same. The one who meets the conditions to go out and let loose. But what are these people rushing for? The enrollment quota for the 11th team. Guan Yue gave an unexpected answer. You also know that Godi 13 not only recruits graduates of Spiritual Arts Academy, but also recruits Rakangai talents, among which the 11th team is the most thorough in this regard, and more than half of the existing members are from Rakangai. Although the force is excellent, the foundation is too poor to meet my requirements for elites, so I raise the admission threshold. All new recruits must start with apprentices, study the courses I have formulated, and then recruit the old team members. With training, the time is 1 year. If you pass the final assessment, you will come down. If you fail, you will leave. But even if it is an apprentice, the number of places is very precious. After all, if you can't pass, you can learn a skill. If you don't get it, you can try other teams or leave Suriidi and continue to work in Rakangai. San, 90. This person is set to collapse, the third. So these people are fighting for apprenticeships? Broken B was stunned. Guan Yue shook his head and denied. No, they are fighting for the qualification to interview for apprentices. In other words, it's not certain whether you can become an apprentice, but if you don't fight, you will definitely not be able to enter this gate. After hearing this, Broken Bee subconsciously looked up at the tall city gate standing in front of her eyes. This magnificent team house, like an imperial city, can be regarded as a spectacle, and Suriidi people from Rakangai will probably have a great interest or yearning for the 11th division that lives in the city and is known as the Battle Squad, while being visually shocked. Hope to be one of these people too. In fact, it is not only outsiders, but also many young people in the Bridal Town plan to temporarily give up inheriting the family business for 110 and secretly work hard with the goal of joining the 11th team. It can only be said that Guan Yu's seemingly extravagant team building renovations have taken the mentality of these simple people who have not been baptized by the modern information explosion to a dead end. In particular, the threshold for entering the team was deliberately raised. The outflow of the quota was strictly limited, and the gold content of the quota was further increased, and even the identity of the former 11th team player was even higher. This made many players not very adaptable at first, but after the baptism of the ranking battle launched by Guan Yue, they all knew that the so-called incompatibility came from the lack of strength. Only powerful people can enjoy better treatment with peace of mind. The strong go up to the weak, and the weak go down. This is the style of the 11th team. The captain still knows the 11th team very well. With the continuous injection of potential new blood, the old blood also began to revive, and those who could not keep up were ruthlessly eliminated to make way for the newcomers. After this operation, the whole situation was instantly revitalized. The sense of belonging, honor, and identification with him as the captain was all at once. There is one outside each of the 4 gates of the arena like this. They are not managed by the 11th team. They are completely organized by these competitors. Can become an apprentice for a year of training. Guan Yue speaks out. This process reminds me of Spiritual Arts Academy. The Broken Bee looks strange. Interview, training assessment, join the squad. This is clearly the system of the Spiritual Arts Institute. Learn more about other people's strengths. I don't think it's a problem. Guan Yue is righteous. Broken Bee didn't feel anything. In fact, Hidden Mobility also has a similar talent training channel. People from Spiritual Arts Academy or Rakangai have to undergo a round of rigorous training to cultivate their business ability. The selection of Xingjun is more extreme. Many of them start special training from childhood and directly perform tasks when they grow up, and their names will not appear in Godi 13's field of vision. In comparison, Guan Yue has made it too exciting. If we continue to develop for another 100 years like this, I wouldn't be surprised if there is one more academy affiliated to the 11th division. You mean technical school? It's a good proposal, and I'll consider it. The casual sentence of Broken Bee caught Guan Yu's attention. Focusing on the military, production, and medical care inadvertently ignores the most important education system, which is a big omission. The more long-term effective large projects are, the sooner the foundation should be laid. Otherwise, wait until the stamina is insufficient and then shift the focus and start from scratch. It would be a waste of the good situation at that time. Broken Bee was at a loss, and Guan Yue didn't waste time explaining his big ambitions, under the admiration and fiery gazes of the competitors and the residents of the bridal town. The city gates slammed open, and Guan Yu led the broken bees back to his kingdom. Guan Yu's private property, the building with the alias of a house without windows and doors, is the studio of the self-cultivation furnace. Broken Bee looked around curiously, but he quickly looked back, because the environment is no different from the previous environment when I was in the second team. At this time, Guan Yu came over with a machine that looked like a flat-panel telegraph. The Captain Yuri on his body also changed into a white coat, and Zanpakutō, who was hanging around his waist, also turned into a physical petite girl and followed step by step. The two figures, black and white, one tall and one short, looked exceptionally harmonious, and there was no sense of disobedience at all. I'm going to do a physical examination for you, senior sister, to understand the specific situation before deciding on the treatment plan. Treatment? I'm not sick again. Upon hearing this word, and then looking at Guan Yu's eyes that seemed to be looking at some kind of experimental object, Broken Bee felt a chill for no reason, forced a smile, and said, "And I'm here to find you to help me practice? Shouldn't you take me to a martial arts field or something? What age is it? And the world is undergoing industrialization. As the guardians and balancers of the world, what should we do if we are protected?" Guan Yu said helplessly, "Don't worry, senpai, I won't dissect you. The reason why I do this is just because I value you. If it were someone else, I might just leave it to the special martial arts field. I know. What should I do with this?" Broken Bee felt a little guilty and decided to cooperate honestly. "Put your hand on it and let out your Ryatsu as much as possible." Guan Yu handed the tablet machine in front of her. Broken Bee raised her eyebrows. "It's that simple. Immediately put aside the last trace of timidity and do it truthfully. It's easy to say, but not easy to do. Releasing Ryatsu as much as possible can be tiring." Until Guan Yu called to stop, it lasted less than 10 seconds in total, and a lot of sweat oozes out of Shueifeng's forehead, which made the bangs that had been carefully groomed before going out, caressing the uncurved chest, adjusting the heart rate, and breathing. Well, Guan Yu frowned at the data displayed on the tablet. Seeing this, Broken Bee instantly raised a 0.3 heart to his throat. She was obviously not sick, but now she suddenly felt extremely uneasy that she seemed to be seriously ill, or that she was found to be seriously ill. Guan Yu, tell me honestly, am I nearing the end of my lifespan? Thinking about it, I do practice too much, and the possibility of leaving a dark wound is almost as high as 90%. I also have a certain psychology about this. Prepare, but please buy me more time if you can. At least I want to satisfy Yoruchi-sama's wishes first. And many more. Guan Yu had a black line on his face and forcibly interrupted. Looking at the girl in front of her with a numb expression and chattering about her last words, she felt extremely absurd. This is Broken Bee originally this character? Who taught it? Oh, it seems that the one I got along with the most before was myself. That's fine. 91. Guan Yu. Please call me Hope Engineer Forthmore, the arrogant queen, Lolita, as promised, actually has a tendency to develop into a sand sculpture beauty girl. Guan Yu shook his head secretly. Ming explained quietly. This inspection is just data collection. You currently do not have any diseases or hidden dangers in your body, but from the data point of view, you're not particularly optimistic. You can look at this comparison table for yourself. 99 saying that, he turned the tablet upside down and showed her. This is, Broken Bee saw that there were two humanoid models on the screen. From the outline, it could be seen that it was herself. Next to the modeling, there was a lot of data analysis, which seemed to be a series of data such as height, measurements, wrist strength, Ryatsu, and so on. It was so perfect that it both shocked and embarrassed her. There is a feeling of being seen all over the body. All the secrets are exposed under Guan Yu's nose. The one on the left is your current data, and the one on the right is the derivation based on your current simulation. Not surprisingly, you will be in these 28 states in 10 years. Guan Yu didn't know it, and was still explaining it very seriously. However, his words did attract the attention of Broken Bee. Even if you don't understand research, just from the data gap, you should be able to realize what's wrong, right? The increase in data is too small. Broken Bee murmured. Guan Yu neither admitted nor denied, swiping the screen with his finger. It's 20 years later. 99, it's 30 years later. It's 40 years later. 39, it's 100 years later. 55, the simulated growth results of the next 100 years are displayed in front of Broken Bee in one breath. The girl's expression also changed from thoughtful at the beginning to serious. And finally, only bitterness remained. When a person knows nothing about the future, he will be full of ambition and feel that he can do anything, but after letting a person know what he will become in the future, even if he will eventually be a winner in life, the surprise will gradually faded. Only numbness remained. What's more, what she saw was not a surprise. It doesn't matter if there is no change in the physical data. 99, actually there is a so-called. Guan Yue thought that Broken Bee would still have a flat, lowly figure of just 1.5 meters in the next 100 years. Even if he knew it would be like this, he couldn't help feeling pity. What you should pay attention to is your spiritual power. Although most Shinigami have spiritual power, their aptitude is quite low, and they just meet the basic conditions of being a Shinigami. And you, Senpai, with all due respect, although you are much stronger than them, compared to other captains, your body is still half as tall. Staying in the category of mediocrity, there is more than enough. In a rather delicate class like your current Bankai practice progress. So far, all your achievements have been rewarded by high intensity and hard training. It seems that you are progressing rapidly and you are about to learn Bankai at this age, but this is probably your end. Even if you become a captain, you are a relatively mediocre type. I think the reason why your Bankai practice is stuck at this stage is because of lack of stamina. Generally speaking, Senpai, you can definitely become Bankai and become the captain. There is no doubt about it, and it won't take long to do so, so you don't need to be too frustrated. How could I not be depressed? Broken Bee rolled his eyes, and Guan Yue almost laughed angrily. Knowing that I have only this level in the future gives me the confidence to shoulder the heavy responsibility that Yoruchi entrusted to me. In the data of the captains of the past generations I collected, I ranked all the captains in 4 grades according to Ryatsu and ability. The highest is the 4th. You can already rank the 2nd. Guan Yue comforted. Broken Bee said suspiciously, "2nd? What does this evaluation show?" It means that you can become a qualified captain. You must know that there are many captains who are not good at fighting. It's just because the master became Bankai, and his character and character are all right, so he became the captain. But there are not many. They are basically in the 1st grade, and your limit has surpassed them in my opinion, and you have stepped into the 2nd grade, which is already a great thing in itself. Countless Shinigami have been vice captains for a lifetime, and in the end, even Bankai's side, they haven't even touched them yet. And you are 2 levels higher than them, and with your spiritual aptitude, you can't do it. But you can rely on high-intensity cultivation, refining combat skills, in exchange for the improvement of actual combat capabilities, to some extent make up for Ryatsu's mediocre shortcomings. Guan Yue talked eloquently, gradually forgetting that his original intention was to comfort others. How to say it, it can be considered to achieve the purpose of comfort in disguise. Stop talking about mediocrity. I know I'm a sucker, so you won't bother you wasting time on me. Senpai, don't rush to leave. I also said the solution. 35, seeing that Broken Bee gave up on herself, smashed the jar, or maybe she was so embarrassed that she decided to throw her hand away. Guan Yue quickly grabbed her wrist. Solution? The Broken Bee, who was struggling to get rid of it, immediately perked up when he heard the word. Can you solve my spiritual aptitude problem? I'm not someone who just picks up faults and exposes faults, and doesn't do anything. Guan Yue said quietly. I said at the beginning, I-410 will first check your specific situation, and then prescribe the right medicine. Instead of just solving the problem at hand, I will solve all the problems that can be found in you, all solved. Broken Bee stared blankly at Guan Yue's eyes. It is so fiery red, but it is as clear as a lake, which can reflect its own figure. And the color that looks incompatible with flowing water is also extraordinarily warm. If you think about it, Guan Yue is indeed such a person. It seems very calm and rational, doing things steadily and surprisingly, will always deviate from the normal results. But in the end, you will find that it is not bad. It is like a flame, creating vitality and drastic changes. It is better to say that it is the morning glow that appears every day, inclusive of everything. And the beginning of each day will give everything enough vitality in the dull. For those who are used to it, it is an indispensable part of life. For those who need it, it's hope. The next moment, Hope showed his usual smile, fiddled with the tablet machine for a while, and then handed it to Broken Bee. Please take a look. This is what I tailor-made for you, Senpai. Human body modification. No, the treatment plan. Broken Bee looked at him numbly. Sure enough, he could not escape the fate of being manipulated as a material. 92. Spirit Body Correction Surgery. First update, after an hour. Guan Yue was drinking a luxury product that has been born for more than 10 years, imported from the present world, and processed by more than 10 processes such as spiritual transformation, etc., which can only be enjoyed by the Soul Fat House Happy Water, while sitting on a swivel chair with Erlang's legs crossed. On the tablet, write and draw on the tablet machine, and conceive the design of a certain tactical suit. As for Broken Bee, he was undergoing spiritual transformation in the body-cultivating furnace at this time. Although it is said to be treatment, it is more similar in nature to corrective surgery and medical cosmetic. Tianbei embroidery has a certain say in this. Because he was the first to eat crabs. Is it over? Guan Yu noticed the pop-up prompt box on the side of the screen. The roar of the engine on the side of the self-cultivation furnace also changed from high to low, which means that the renovation has been completed. He immediately got up and walked down the central podium to the hanging stairs leading to the furnace mouth. The studio environment has changed a bit compared to the past. For example, around the self-cultivation stove is no longer a floor covered with dense cables like vines, but a semicircular ditch is opened, and the cables are placed inside, so that the surface will not look cluttered. Not only that, the inside of the ditch is also filled with some kind of spiritual liquid used to maintain the equipment, and a large number of cables are soaked in the spiritual liquid like seaweed, which can prevent leakage accidents during the transportation process, and can also be used for repairing, cooling, and other series. The role of maintenance and debugging integration. Karatsuchi Mayuri of the Technology Development Bureau proposed to buy this technology more than once, but Guan Yu refused. Finally, after friendly negotiation, he agreed to share the basic damage of the follow-up research results of the technology and exchanged other technologies. Consistent. The crystal outer wall of the self-cultivation furnace automatically splits, opens, and closes, revealing a hatch for one person to walk through. A large number of spirits spewed out in the form of water vapor. Broken Bee held the hatch and walked out staggeringly. Like a drunken alcoholic, Guan Yu gave Jiuwu a wink. I don't know how the young girl wearing the metal blindfold received it, and she used to bring the Broken Bee to the front. I feel that my current state is very wrong. Broken Bee patted his forehead, as if he wanted to imitate the slapping repair method of some mechanic repair experts to restore himself to normal. But doing so is useless. Guan Yu had a serious face and kept looking at her up and down. Human beings in this world are not perfect by birth, and all functions are only just right. But due to various factors, this balance is easily destroyed. Because more and more humans are actually congenitally deficient. 35, although we are a soul spirit body, we also have this problem, because the influence of these defects inevitably lowers our spiritual qualifications. If there are no defects, the soul will definitely become healthier, the spiritual power will become more pure, and there will be more room for growth. The key to the bloodline that the nobles pay attention to is here. So the psychic correction surgery I developed is essentially a kind of pedigree optimization, which is useless for the mediocre, useless for the transcendent genius, and only useful for those who have obvious talents but can only stop at a certain height. Point 35. The reason is very simple. They are flawed geniuses, not mere mortals. As long as such people can fill in the missing parts, they can become true geniuses. Sister, you are feeling unwell right now just because I helped you find what you lost. Just like a patient who is recovering from a serious illness and needs a period of rehabilitation to regain his lost body functions. If you want to adapt as soon as possible, what you need to do most is not to force yourself to accept it, but to change your thinking. You have to treat it as something you already have. You were abnormal before, but now you are the most normal. Don't try to control it. Keep it natural and trust your instinct. After Guan used perseverance and perseverance, Broken Bee gradually found the feeling. There is no need for help from the fog. You can stand on your own. With the unique breathing method and mental adjustment skills of secret mobility, The mental state can be clearly restored to normal with the naked eye. Yes, this is the original self. Broken Bee opened his eyes again, only to feel that everything in the world in his eyes now became vivid, as if he was a highly myopic person without glasses in the past. Breathing has also become extremely smooth, air flows into the lungs, and there is a feeling of transparency throughout the body. Even though he is underground, he feels like he is in the clouds. Too easy. Without a trace of pressure or restraint, it seems that as long as he lifts his feet, he can fly and swing his fist to shatter everything. Ryatsu's boundless confidence and exuberant vitality make Ryatsu unconsciously spill out of his body, but it does not cause any damage, just like wearing a blue robe made of colored flames. It was at this time that Broken Bee noticed what she was wearing at the moment, and her pretty face instantly flushed red. In order to facilitate the treatment, I specially changed into an abnormally thin clothes before entering the body-cultivating furnace. How thin is it? Not much more than a swimsuit. It may be due to the abnormal body temperature caused by the spiritual body correction surgery, which has greatly increased the amount of sweating, and these clothes are not as easy to use as swimwear, so don't look at me. Clothes? Where are my clothes? There! Guan Yu pointed to the center console, and Bumblebee's death pack was folded and placed on the nearest table. Call. It's not like. The speed of the sudden burst of Broken Bees easily caused a gust of wind. The blow made Guan Yu's temples and hair fly up. Soon, Broken Bee changed into his clothes, but he was still a little twisted. Well, it's nice and fits well. Guan Yu nodded again and again. Fit? What are you talking about? I just came here in this dress? Broken Bee subconsciously checked his clothes and suddenly felt that something was wrong. This side height is a bit unfamiliar. I've grown taller? It should be said that it has become bigger. Guan Yu corrected. It did get bigger. Hearing what he said, Broken Bee again subconsciously put his hand on his chest and muttered. I didn't mean that. Turn around. Broken Bee glared at him in embarrassment. Guan Yu had no choice but to do so. Soon he heard the girl's slightly surprised whisper. I said, senior sister, in fact, you don't need to care so much. With this level of change, people who are not familiar with it may not be able to see it. If you are willing, I can make targeted adjustments for you. 93. Secondary development, second more? Crap. Broken Bee's pretty face blushed and snorted softly. What is this level of change? She is 6 centimeters taller. From 1.5 meters to 1.56 meters. Is there a big change? There is also an overall undulating curve. Kanken has raised a dimension. Although you can still easily see your toes when you lower your head, at least in the eyes of others, you can already see obvious female characteristics. As for the targeted adjustment that Guan Yu said, I have to admit that I am a little moved. But she also has a certain self-esteem. Right now, this kind of change is clearly a secondary development that can be accepted with peace of mind, but if you really make targeted adjustments, that is, as a woman, only after admitting defeat will you think about saving it. Wait, did you change this dress for me? Only then did the Broken Bee react. Your original clothes were too tight and definitely couldn't fit, so I changed it a little for you. Don't worry, I don't know your current physical data. After all, you are senior Broken Bee, and you won't change it again. How exaggerated it becomes, it's not difficult to roughly lock down a category. Guan Yu responded disapprovingly. Broken Bee stared at the back of Guan Yu's head, gritted his teeth secretly, and wanted to punch him. Co-authoring in the eyes of this guy, that's what his upper limit is, right? She wished that the relationship between the two parties could be strangers, so that at least Guan Yu would say something nice out of the world. By the way, Senpai, your current Ryatsu has grown significantly compared to before. Bankai is no longer a problem for you. Do you want me to take you to the martial arts field to try? Guan Yu felt the need to help her find her original aspiration. I think it's feasible. Let's go. Broken Bee coughed lightly and agreed, as if nothing was wrong. Afterwards, Guan Yu took her to the special martial arts field of the 11th team. Walking through the corridor of the observation deck, Guan Yu greeted the surrounding team members who kept bowing and saying hello, and took the time to take the initiative to introduce. This is a special type of martial arts venue that I created. It is different from the normal practice venues. The worst combat environment. There are currently 3 martial arts fields like this, and each has a theme. The martial arts field in front of you is called the Steel Earth. The internal gravity is 3 times that of the outside world. There are only minerals and metal substances, and the hardness and density are far greater than that of the outside world. The normal state is convenient for the practice of more destructive tactics, Syad. Triple gravity? Broken Bee looked at the barren land inside, through the floor-to-ceiling windows. At this time, many people were fighting inside. Although the venue is very large, each pick an area for a one-on-one duel, and it is not a problem to accommodate 20 or 30 groups. But these people are clearly fighting indiscriminately. In other words, they're all enemies except themselves. This mode of actual combat training itself is extremely risky, not to mention that it is carried out in an environment of triple gravity. The difficulty is so high that even her cultivator madman can see her eyelids jumping, speechless. But at the same time, also very hot. This place is very suitable for me to hone Shuanpa. You do not say. The ubiquitous and powerful gravity is much better than pure weight training. No need to do it deliberately, just keep looking for people to fight. Over time, with the growth of actual combat skills and physical ability, Shuanpa's attainments will also usher in a qualitative transformation due to the rising tide. Broken Bee unknowingly lay on the glass, his eyes glowing. Like a bear who saw honey. Guan Yue, can I come here to practice in the future? Even if you say you can't, don't you really not come? Guan Yu murmured in his heart. I plan to build 11 special-shaped martial arts fields. If Sister Broken Bee is willing, you can come and help me test the performance of the facilities. Having a captain-level Shinigami to help me should save a lot of time. Yeah, I'll definitely make time. You've already helped me a lot. It's not a big deal at all. Damn it. Why is the second team built so far away? The first half is still normal. It is better to say that it is in the arms of Broken Bee. However, because it suits her too much, she feels strongly dissatisfied with the distance between the two teams. Just when Broken Bee was thinking about whether or not to follow the example of the 11th Division to rebuild the team building, and then move a little in the name, the melee training in the martial arts field also ended. A group of sweaty, bruised, brutish men who couldn't stand up were carried out by the medical team stationed in the 11th Division. How to deal with it? The technique was very smooth, and the other team members who were watching the battle were not surprised. When it was first built in the early years, there were even some soldiers who were seriously injured and dying. If Guan Yu had not performed a wonderful rejuvenation with double hands, the grass on the graves would now be as tall as the bees. Compared to these examples, physical exhaustion is no big deal. But some of these people also stood up. Hello, Captain. Tianbei Xiuzhu took the towel handed by his companion and was wiping his sweat when he saw Guan Yu hurriedly stand up straight. Tianbei, you are leading the team for training today. Guan Yu nodded at him. Yes, it's a surprise training for the team members who were relatively low in the last ranking match. Heir, is this the captain's guest? Tianbei replied immediately, and immediately noticed the Broken Bee standing beside Guan Yu with a puzzled expression. The second division has 3 seats, and is currently the sub-captain of the Threshold management team. Without waiting for Guan Yu's introduction, Broken Bee Crispy reported on its own. The second team? The Threshold team? Tianbei's eyes changed slightly, and his tone became a little more solemn. I am Tianbei's embroidery assistant, the 3rd seat of the 11th team. Please give me more advice. I've heard your name, and I watched the training process just now, but Guan Yu gave you a good shot and brought you to the 11th team. Broken Bee is also one of the insiders of the Xia Dalu incident. Tianbei does not know her, but she knows it well, especially since Guan Yu took office. Many changes in the 11th team have been followed. The captain has done me a great favor, and I will smash myself to pieces in return. Tianbei Xiuzhu could hear her overtones and responded calmly. There is no need to be so polite in the same 3 seats. Senior Sister Broken Bee is my old boss. In the future, Senior Sister Broken Bee will probably come over often. If I am not available for the time being, Tianbei, you will be in charge of the reception. Guan Yu spoke to ease the atmosphere. Follow your orders. Then, Captain, I'll go and see how the other team members are doing. Go. After Tianbei left, Broken Bee rolled his eyes and said, What reception? You want to take the opportunity to let me guide your subordinates, right? There's no way. The only one I can ask is you, Senior. The other captains won't be so kind. Guan Yu shrugged. The broken bee, which has undergone spiritual correction, will definitely reach a higher level in the future, and it is especially the Grandmaster killing technology. Having such a strong person serving as a mentor to the 11th Division team members will definitely make this group of fighters make great progress. Aha! Hearing this, Broken Bee said it was extremely useful. Finally regained some confidence. That's what she wanted to hear. 94. How trendy Bankai, do you actually dislike it? The third update, after a while, in the martial arts arena. I temporarily turned off the gravity generator. You can start now, senpai. Guan Yu deliberately kept a distance from Broken Bee, so as not to interfere with her performance. Call. Broken Bee sighed. His expression was full of determination. The results of 10 years of practice will be seen at this moment. There were also a large number of members of the 11th Division in the sightseeing corridor of the martial arts field, and they chatted very vigorously. No way. This is the first female guest brought into the team house by the captain who is more terrifying than the devil, and she is also a former colleague, boss, subordinate, and multiple relationships. Isn't the relationship quite deep? Moreover, after this change of Broken Bee, secondary development, the appearance value has also increased a lot. The foundation is good, but now the figure is a little better, and it is no longer a hindrance. This overall level is all of a sudden go up dash, together with the young and the young. Coupled with a deep friendship and intimacy, it is difficult for these reckless men not to be crooked. Of course, either in front of Guan Yu or gossip behind his back. No one has the guts to do that. Right now, let's talk about it. But when you step out of the gate of the martial arts field, everyone will pretend to be deaf and dumb, as if nothing happened. Tianbei also turned a blind eye to this, because he knew that Guan Yu knew very well that if he reported it, he would definitely be scolded. Just when everyone was chatting, they suddenly felt a powerful Ryatsu eruption. In an instant, there was silence. One by one, they stared at a spiritual beam of light rising into the sky in the martial arts field. After a while, a louder noise broke out. Is that Bankai? Captain-level Ryatsu. You can't go wrong. It's no wonder that Captain Guan Yu personally received it. It seems to be helping an acquaintance to practice Bankai. I heard that the captain used to be the 3rd seed of the 2nd Division, and earlier was the captain of the 12th Division, Suk, who had caused a lot of trouble, and now this is Miss Broken Bee. I know what you want to say. The 3 seats in the 2nd Division are monsters. Your news is too late. This position has long been nicknamed Captain Candidate. Amazing. I don't know if I can become Bankai in my life. Right now, 7 or 8 captain positions are empty, and if you work hard, there is still hope. Forget it. I have hope that it will be hundreds of years later, but I think Tianbei Sanshi can give it a try. Not to mention, the strength of Tianbei's 3rd seat has improved too quickly. It is estimated that he has received a lot of guidance from the captain. Perhaps our 11th team will really have a captain. 35 while talking, everyone's eyes drifted to a certain person unconsciously. This topic ends here. Tianbei helped calmly. Captain Guan Yu has given each of us the opportunity to change, and I am no exception. So I swore to my soul that I will fight to the death under the command of Captain Guan Yu. Even if I train Bankai in the future, I will leave the 11th team. If you put this in other squads, some people would probably scoff at it, but if you put it in the 11th squad, it would be too much for the appetite of these rough guys. Some of the team members who were not convinced that he was in the 3rd seat could not help but respect him. Okay, I will also work hard to try to train Bankai, and then continue to stay in the 11th Division so that other divisions can see the pride of my 11th Division. Some clenched their fists and made up their minds. Oh, it sounds exciting, add me. Add me too, although it is whimsical. But when you think of going on an expedition in the future, all the officers will use Bankai at the same time. The scene must be spectacular, right? It's better to say that this is the attitude of a combat squad. At the side, Tianbei Zayasuk opened his mouth and stared at the dog. In the past, Captain Guan Yu said that these team members were all one-strands and could do everything with passion. Now he realizes that some of these people can't even do Shirkai, and they're all ready to sprint towards Bankai. What kind of trouble is this? How can the word Bankai be so easy to talk about? After what they said, the dignified Zanpakutō tactics finally seemed to have become a goal that could be achieved as long as they were willing to work hard. Not good this. It's a good thing to work hard, but you can't be too ambitious. Just when Tianbei Zayasuk was racking his brains on how to correct their wrong thoughts without pouring cold water on them, the light beam of the spiritual light in the martial arts field gradually dissipated. The figure of the broken bee appeared again. At this moment, her body still exuded the surging Ryatsu worthy of Bankai, causing the gravel on the surrounding ground to vibrate slightly. There are no changes in dress, because the changes are all focused on Zanpakutō. The Zanpakutō Sumabachi Shirkai of Broken Bee has golden spikes in the finger sleeve style, while Bankai's cover suddenly expands dozens of times, occupying half of the body. Gold bottom and black border. The 2-meter-high heavy metal gun mount is fitted with the right arm, giving a visual impact that the arm itself has turned into a metal gun mount, and a cannonball is naturally loaded on the gun mount. However, in Guan Yue's view, this length and shape are more like missiles. Suzumabachi, Lei Gong Whip. 35 Broken Bee looked at the metal gun mount on her arm, her voice getting quieter and her expression getting stiffer, especially when she felt the untouched weight of the metal gun mount. Even more wanted to kill him. As soon as Guan Yu came over, she lowered her head and muttered to herself, I don't know why she always quizzes when she asks about Suzumabachi Bankai's abilities. So it's like this. Are you all right? Senpai. No. Can I ask you to kill me with this thing? Senior sister, this is the end. You can only find a way to accept the reality. How do you want me to accept it? You can't hit the target with this thing in the future? What kind of assassination is this? And it's heavy, and neither the Shuinpa and white hits that I'm proud of can use. I can't call it stealth maneuver anymore. 35 Broken Bee raised his head suddenly, tears flashing in his eyes. He was so excited that his voice was shaking, and his body was shaking. It makes people feel pity and also has the urge to laugh. Guan Yu pursed his lips tightly. I was afraid that I would accidentally laugh out loud and give the girl another blow to her already fragile soul. Don't be so pessimistic. Zanpakutō and Shinigami are in a symbiotic relationship, and its ability must be meaningful to the user. Think about it. You really lack this kind of large-scale destruction ability. Guan Yu couldn't help raising his hand to touch the metal cannon on her arm as he spoke, his eyes filled with joy. Sister, let's discuss something. Can you, Bankai? Let me modify it for you? San. 95. The Broken Bee who is addicted to guns. Forthmore, refit. Broken Bee was stunned, and the topic turned too abrupt. Aren't you dissatisfied with your Bankai? I can help you modify it to increase its firepower. Duh, firepower is good. Can you help me change the shape? Even if you take it off and put it on the ground. What do you mean by whatever? I have to tell you about that. Guan Yu's eyes widened, his expression extremely serious, and his aura suddenly rose. What does stealth maneuver do the most? It's an assassination. What is an assassination? It's a surprise attack to kill the target without their knowledge. Then you look at your Bankai. Hey, wait! Broken Bee was stunned and watched Guan Yu unload the missile from the metal turret and fiddled with it back and forth in his hand, as if he was detecting something. After a while, 410 heard him say excitedly, the range is at least 4 kilometers. The flight speed should be 1/4 of the speed of sound, and the explosion radius should be more than 500 meters. Do you know what this means, Senpai? You stand 4 kilometers away and shoot at the target. Isn't Ryatsu's restraint attack before the explosion, without murderous intent, exactly what the assassination was after? 9. When the opponent reacts and wants to run, it will be difficult to escape the coverage of the explosion, and it will not be able to stop it. Is there a more perfect one-hit kill? No. The enemy's guards can't even find them. When it comes to you, you can even stay put and eat a dry meal before considering whether to retreat. Of course, the above benefits can only be said to be the basics of the basics. In my opinion, the biggest advantage of this Bankai is its shape. Mechanical metal materials, turrets, missiles, this combat mode has the transformation potential that most Zanpakutō do not have, and the function and firepower can be improved, especially the firepower. The so-called caliber is justice, and firepower is the truth. In the past, all enemies can be vanished, so what's the entanglement? Assassin is trying to kill the enemy by any means, sticking too much to the traditional assassination mode and ignoring the more efficient way of fighting. Maybe this is a bit too much, but Sister Broken Bee, your perception is the biggest insult to the assassin. Broken Bee looked suspicious of life. Could it be that he has grown arrogant from nowhere? So he has developed a prejudice against fighting methods that are different from traditional assassination methods? And this Bankai really has Guan Yu said so well? Senior sister, think about it. You'll be the captain soon. Guan Yu gave the decisive blow with sincerity. The captain is going to the front line to fight the enemy head-on. Do you still expect to assassinate those powerful enemies that your subordinates can't solve? The most important thing in front-end combat is firepower. Impressed by you? Broken Bee woke up suddenly. That's right. I can't live up to Yurichi-sama's expectations. The most accustomed way of fighting can be carried out by Shurkai, and the value of Bankai lies in solving those hard bones that cannot be solved by normal means, and the two sets of fighting methods complement each other to maximize my strength. In this way, the firepower of Jaku Rakebin, who can kill with one hit, becomes extremely critical. You finally figured it out. Guan Yu expressed great relief. Kid, or mechanical, it's all superficial. He pursues firepower supremacy. Performance efficiency is everything. That's all for the others. Broken Bee has such good plasticity. It's a pity not to join the Fire God cult. But Guan Yu, can you help me dismantle it? I'm worried about ejecting myself when it's fired. Broken Bee made a request with an embarrassed face. No problem. Guan Yu readily agreed. What is this a trivial matter? The next few days, this special type of martial arts field has basically become a special shooting range for Broken Bees. Many of the team members who were dissatisfied with Broken Bee's occupation of the martial arts field came here to see the rising mushroom cloud, and their complaints and opinions were quickly dispelled by the strong vibration and roar that followed. 90%. On a certain 10-meter-high, giant rock block, Broken Bee raised his hand to block the oncoming storm, squinted at the mushroom cloud rising several kilometers away, and gave a calm evaluation for a while. Behind her stood a 3-meter-high golden gun mount. It is Jaku Rakebin. Guan Yu initially remodeled its structure. First, it is separated from the Broken Bee, and then the volume is expanded so that it has the ability to carry and launch larger yield shells. Just plug the Zanpakutō into the ground and proceed to Bankai. The turret will automatically build up and rise like a base vehicle in a certain Red War game, firmly anchored to the ground, and even create a foothold in the air like Shinigami if needed. However, Guan Yu has not been able to add this function yet. His current focus is mainly on enhancing the overall performance of the missile. Destruction is only one aspect. For ranged attacks, accuracy is very important. Therefore, the flight speed of the missile after launch should also be increased, and it cannot be easily detonated due to external interference. Otherwise, it is easy to accidentally injure itself and friendly forces. How about the effect of the new missile? Guan Yu suddenly appeared beside Broken Bee. Compared with the missile you gave me yesterday, the power has decreased, but the speed has increased significantly. This should not be the same missile, right? Broken Bee wondered. You actually see it? 39, Guan Yu smiled in surprise. That's right, it's not the same kind. Weapons, how can you simply increase the size? Just like Zanpakutō, it's not the bigger the better. I think I originally designed a multifunctional missile that can switch modes according to needs, such as the fastest flight, or a concentrated penetrating type, as well as large area burning effects and toxin pollution. However, it is too difficult for 0.3 to have multiple functions at the same time. So I produced missiles with different functions independently and made a magazine which will be installed on your turret. And then prepare a platform for you. You can stand on it and choose to reload missiles as appropriate. Does this mean my Bankai has to keep getting bigger? Broken Bee has a weird expression. Considering that there are plans to automatically assemble and increase the barrel in the future, I think it should be at least as big as the rock under our feet, right? It doesn't matter anyway, as long as I know how to operate it. What about today's test item? There are test items, but senpai, Guan Yu said suspiciously. That's for your captain's exam today, shouldn't you forget? Broken Bee's expression froze. 96. Angel Investors, first update. This time the captain's exam was placed on the roof of the research tower of the 12th Division. In the process of riding the elevator, Broken Bee touched his chest and muttered uncomfortably. Isn't this really cheating? 99. Even after my modification, you can prepare the bullets in advance, so that you will not temporarily consume a lot of Ryatsu to generate. And because of the dismantling and separation, the launching process will not consume a lot of physical energy. 99 Guan Yue, who switched from researcher mode to Shinigami mode, reluctantly said, "But Senpai, you use Bankai a lot these days. For you who are new to Bankai, the burden is still very big. Based on your previous state, I don't trust you to use the test items I prepared for your exam today. And you don't have to have a psychological burden. This spiritual embryo implanted in your locks and sleep can only help you quickly recover Ryatsu and get back to the best state. And you don't need to think about anything else. 95, this thing must be very precious, right? Remember to remove 28 from me when the exam is over." Broken Bee hesitated for a while. "It's very precious. I'm going to use it to reward the elites of the 11th team. It's a part of the team's exclusive benefits. You don't have to feel bad about it, Senpai. The spiritual child will absorb the growth of host Ryatsu and wait for it to grow completely. Chung, even if you don't say anything, Senpai, I will discuss it with you and take it back." Guan Yu speaks very bluntly. Hearing this, Broken Bee rolled his eyes and snorted coldly. "Sure enough, I know that you are not a good person. This has nothing to do with lending money to someone else to make a fortune, and finally recovering the principal with some of the other party's assets after making a fortune. The difference. Why doesn't it make a difference? According to you, senior, I am an angel investor. Without me lending them money, it would be difficult for them to make a fortune, not to mention that they are still rich when they take part of the proceeds in the end." Guan Yu feels very innocent, although the old Nong Gong spiritual embryo that he has worked so hard to study is an imitation of Yuhabaka's sanctification. But in the end, what he takes back is only the grown spiritual embryo, not the other party's full ability. Borrow chickens to lay eggs. Yuhabak is the real capitalist. Everything you earn with the money I give you is my income. So when I need it, I can get it all back. I don't give you half a cent. If you have the ability, you can hide some private money by yourself. And if you don't have the ability, you will starve to death. As expected of an old antique that has lived for thousands of years, the smell of this landlord's old wealth is not too strong. In contrast, Guan Yu, as a new generation capitalist, will still leave roots for leaks to some extent. Of course, it can't be said that the friend Habak doesn't understand the truth of sustainable development. After all, he has to do a big job and spend his money on everything. There are countless similar examples in the world. After a few minutes, the two came to the rooftop. As soon as the door opened, the unique cold air from the sky roared, trying to wash away the temperature of everyone. After all, it is a tower-shaped building, and the roof is not large, about 1,000 square meters. Perhaps in order to facilitate the captain's examination, he specially ordered someone to clean it up. It looked very empty, with only a few figures and 2 white stone pillars in sight. You can count it. Although the scenery here is good, it is cold enough. Speaking of which, it is almost the snow season. Everyone remembered to add clothes. 99 Kairai Shunsui couldn't help joking when he saw today's protagonist appear. Raijin Jaka won't let this old man freeze. Your bones are too weak, especially Shiro. It is rare to get better. You should stay in the team building and take care of the piled-up official duties. Yamamoto Yunyuzi stood on the edge of the roof, and the cold wind blew his robes wildly. But he stood here like a sacred mountain that was bigger than the research tower under his feet. Behind the vigorous and powerful words is a burning aura that cannot be extinguished. Drive away the few coldness from everyone. Well, being the chief judge of the captain's exam is also part of the team's affairs. I think so. There are not many captains who can come forward now, so I can't always trouble others. Sure, Yukitake is always a good man, and his integrity is too strong to refute. Besides, Sook. No, Captain Eisen took over the 5th Division yesterday. It was the busiest time, so it's better not to burden him. Even I don't really want to participate in this kind of activity. I just came here after hearing that there are some interesting tricks. Kairaku Shunsui muttered softly. Then came the sharp gaze of the commander-in-chief, and hurriedly shut up and pretended to look at the scenery. Okay, stop talking. Yamamoto Yuanyuzi went straight to the point. Today's captain's exam is held here for some special reasons. And Nisanchi has also prepared the things mentioned in the previous report. If there are no other requirements, let's start. Let me see what Captain Guan Yu recommended. Talent, whether its ability is worthy of the captain's position. 99, yes. 35 Broken Bee looked solemn, strode forward and stood still. On the other side, Guan Yue also came to the two awkward white stone pillars and activated the kid's spell to activate them. Bankai. The golden Ryatsu rose into the sky, dispelling the heavy clouds in the sky. The unsightly Uzumaki air wave was defeated by the wave of the Broken Bee. The posture behind Bankai is clearly presented in front of everyone. 410 The eyes of Yamamoto, Uenyuzi, Kiraku, and Jushiro immediately fell on the cool golden cannon behind her. This 9 Kairaka Shunsui had a weird expression. Although Zanpakutō has a variety of strange shapes after its liberation, in the final analysis, it will not break away from the category of cold weapons. But the 3-meter-high gun mount and the 1-person-high missile mounted on the semi-open barrel are all firearms. Spotting the subtle meaning in everyone's eyes, Shuabi's face didn't change. She was used to being surrounded by a group of people from the 11th Division these days. She also knows that many people look at their Bankai with strange eyes, but after watching the entire launch, those eyes will eventually turn into horror. This makes the Broken Bee more and more convinced that Guan Yu's theory is correct. The world is ignorant, and the idea lacks flexibility, so we need something shocking to break the inherent thinking and discover more possibilities. Only in this way can we go further. Future. It's done. At this time, Guan Yu gave a thumbs up to the Broken Bee. I saw a gate leading to the Broken Realm built between the 2 stone pillars, and another bizarre world scene could be clearly seen from the outside. Seeing this, Broken Bee understood and snapped her fingers very hockey. The next moment, the huge cannon behind him roared. 97. There are more unsolved mysteries in the world. Second more, boom. The terrifying flames erupted from the missile swept over most of the rooftops. Fortunately, everyone was not standing behind. Otherwise, they would inevitably be burned with a black face. The powerful reaction force makes the base of the cannon sink deep into the floor tiles. Fix 2 dead. The impact spread even further, and the entire research tower was shaking slightly. For the members of the 12th Division inside, it was like an earthquake. The missile flies out, and the propulsion is doubled or tripled based on every 0.1 second. The flames at the rear suddenly increased greatly, and the orange fire became white and dazzling, and even the thick black smoke of gunpowder was covered by the light. This moment, rather than the shaking of Ryatsu itself, Shinigami in the surrounding districts was more attracted by the dazzling sun-like thing rising from the top of the research tower. But soon the light disappeared, because the missile flew into the portal to the Broken Realm. The so-called boundary is a space where several layers of cut-off space overlap and are surrounded by the torrent of time. The inner world is weird, with mountains that look like they've been cooked and poured with mud that's also cooked, and ground that looks like CRME and turns out to be hard when you step on it. Looking up, you may see a sky as colorful as a canvas of children's doodles, or a dark torrent. Although there is no celestial body, such as the sun, emitting light, everyone can clearly see everything that happens in the boundary from the outside of the door. Even the other end of the portal is not on the ground, but at least a few hundred meters in the sky, so it provides a very wide field of vision, and you can see the effect of the missile after it hits the ground. Of course, it wasn't all about Bro B's test scores, and Guan Yu himself was curious about the performance of the test items. It didn't take long for the distant missile to fall to the ground like a meteor. At first there was a flash of light, and then it swelled wildly. The brightness also continued to rise, and everyone couldn't help but narrow their eyes, which was really too dazzling. It's really like a sun rising from the surface, although the distance is more than tens of kilometers at least, and the transmission of sound and impact still takes some time to arrive. As Shinigami, they're most concerned about destructive power. The Ryatsu fluctuations generated during the short explosion can be described as terrifying, and the bipolar spear, which is said to have the attack power of millions of Zanpakutō, must be at least dozens of times more comparable to it. Just as everyone was shocked, that round of the sun actually began to shrink the smaller it became, and then it fell deeply into the ground and disappeared. No, not gone. Through that pit, everyone could vaguely see the situation of another world. Bad. Guan Yu's mouth twitched slightly. What's the matter? 35 Broken Bee, who was waiting to watch the fireworks, wondered. Others looked over in confusion. Guan Yu touched his chin and said, "This missile is my special gravity bomb. It can condense all the power of the explosion into one point, forming a twisted Uzumaki similar to a black hole, rolling up everything around it and smashing it." 99. I thought it might affect the space-time stability of the Soul Society, so I applied to the Commander-in-Chief to use the boundary. But now it seems that because the space-time of the boundary itself is not stable, the extremely constricted gravitational bomb penetrated the space, invaded from Hueco Mundo into the world like a virtual. What? Broken B's pretty face was as pale as paper. You must know that even Shinigami, who is above the vice captain, had to seal 4/5 of Ryatsu when he entered the world, so as not to bring unnecessary influence to the people of this world. But this was a good thing. In Bankai's stance, he released a huge destructive power. As soon as it hits the world, I don't know how many people will be involved. Captain Guan Yu, this is no joke. Kairaka Shunsui couldn't sit still. Jushiro's face was blue, and he looked like he was in urgent need of quick-acting heart pills. Guan Yu. Yamamoto Yuanyuzi frowned, and the eyes that had been squinting widened. Don't worry. Guan Yu waved his hand and hurriedly fed them a reassurance pill. At the beginning of the design, I have considered the possibility of accidentally injuring myself or allies with too much power, so I added a safety mechanism to each missile. When the launch fails, it will be transferred in space and landed in a place where no one is present. Go. 35 in order to prove his words. He took out the tablet machine and operated it, and then projected a pair of spiritual light curtains. Everyone didn't know what trick he used, but the light curtain could show the world scene that can usually only be observed in the auditorium, and the angle of view was constantly zooming from the distant sky, as if there was an eye outside the planet's atmosphere that was quietly peeping at the Earth. As the zoom continued, the missing missile was quickly found. To be precise, the traces it left behind were found. In a piece of land called Siberia, there is a meteorite impact crater with a span of about 50 meters. The surrounding 30 kilometers are covered with scorched earth after the fire, and beyond that, thousands of square kilometers of forest lie down in all directions. Everyone was speechless for a while looking at this tragic scene. On the one hand, he was shocked by the terrifying effect of the combination of Bankai and Guan Yu's technological prowess, and on the other hand, he was glad that the blow did not fall in a densely populated city. Was the balance of the gravitational field broken when the penetrated the space? Instead of continuous restraint, the force was released in a more extreme way, so only such a small pit was left, but the affected area was relatively larger some. It seems that the design of the incendiary bomb needs to be reconsidered. The lethality efficiency of a simple radioactive attack is relatively low, but the high heat still needs to be enhanced. Air! Why are you looking at me like this? Guan Yu is also taking a hard look at the experimental results and conducting a coherent analysis. Suddenly, something was not right, and when he turned his head to look, he found that Shuaib, Jingle, and Jushiro were looking at him with horror, while Old Man Sean had a black face, and his body was constantly exuding low air pressure. Idiot! Even if it didn't cause casualties, it still has a great impact on the world. You are forbidden to study such dangerous things in the future. There are also 3 seats for broken bees. Yes, the broken bee wants to cry, but has no tears. Playing big now. You passed the captain's exam, but you are not allowed to use Bankai and Soul Society in the future. The old man's decision made the broken bees half happy and half worried. Mods, she tried to explain in a low voice. That Commander-in-Chief, the shells studied by Guan Yu are not all so dangerous. Shut up. I don't want to see you destroy the Soul Society with your enemies in order to protect the Soul Society. Destroy Soul Society? This is too exaggerated. No, you are wrong, Broken Bee. As long as the equivalent is up, I can easily destroy Soul Society in a more efficient way than this. Is this the mouth? Is this the mouth that preaches the theory of danger in front of me? The captain of the sanctuary team? Guan Yu. Stop and don't run. Watching the bees chasing Guan Yu, Kairaka Shunsui took off his straw hat and said worriedly, "If this goes on, one day when I take a nap, I might just open my eyes and find myself being blown away. If you have time to worry about these, don't hurry back and deal with the team." Yamamoto Yuanyuzi got angry and stabbed him in the waist with a cane. Really, none of them could make the old man feel at ease. 98. The promise of the past. Furthermore, the fact that Broken Bee became the captain seems to have become a clarion call for the outbreak of the power of the new generation. A few months later, Aizen recommended Tosin Kaname, the former senior officer of the 9th Division, as the captain of the 9th Division. Guan Yu did not attend, but Tosin showed a sense of justice and basic combat power with Bankai. With the approval of the 4 reviewers, he successfully took the position of captain. Of the 8 captain positions that were originally vacant, only 5 were left at once. Half a year later, a new winter is coming. Yamamoto Uenyuzi, an old man with a fiery temperament, also personally took action, recruiting a talent with captain-level strength to fill the vacancy of the 7th team, that is Kamimura Sajin. In the same month, Kuritsushi Mayuri went to the captain and recommended himself. Although his temperament was very different, for the sake of being a few scientific talents and master Bankai, the old man pinched his nose to find a few captains and barely let him pass the test. However, on the day that Kuritsuchi Mayuri took office, Guan Yu went to the headquarters of the Technical Development Bureau of the 12th Division with his sincere wishes, and then left in high spirits with a cart of unknown goods. But according to the 410 gossip from a passing team member at the time, Kuritsuchi Mayuri turned around and scolded someone. Scientists are the best at doing business, and businessmen are the best at doing research. Due to the later disappearance of the team member, the curious couldn't find anyone and finally let it go. Broken Bee, Aizen, Tosin, Kashimura, Kuritsuchi Mayuri. The top 5 filled most of the gaps in Godiai, 13 at once. Only 3, 6, and 10 squads remained. It's a bit ridiculous to say that the 10th Division team has not changed since the departure of Hirako Shinji's group of captains, and they will not fall into the predicament that other divisions are overwhelmed, and they have always been orderly, because they are used to the days without a captain. Originally, Yamamoto Uenyuzi wanted to hand over the 10th Division to Guan Yu. After all, the 10th Division was a patrol and garrison. It belonged to the kind that would go to the top immediately when a war broke out and report it later. A commander like Guan Yu, who has an overall view, is stable yet decisive, and has strong adaptability. In the end, Guan Yu took the initiative to knock out the Ghost Rock City, and his but was on the head of the 11th team. At this point, Yamamoto Uenyuzi is not in a hurry. Since the 10th team can take care of itself, let's continue to wait. Let's fill in the gaps between the 3rd and 6th teams first. So, on the terrace of the Tianga Pavilion on Xiaodolu, Guan Yu was lying on a chair, with a canopy over his head covering the falling snow, and a maid waiting by his hand, presenting him the food and drink he wanted from time to time. And he himself either narrowed his eyes and took a nap, or admired the snow scene outside the red fence. And he really didn't have a very comfortable life. But in this world, there are always guys who don't understand the style, jumping out and destroying others when they are comfortable. Guan Yue, there was a Shinigami who said he was looking for you. I asked him to come in, but he insisted on waiting for you outside. A young woman with a thick and elegant robe and a hair of G-style walked over slowly, her slightly whitewashed face full of strange colors. When the next person came to report, he came to visit himself as the head of the Xia Dala family, but he didn't expect to come to Guan Yu as a guest, and it doesn't seem to have come with any kind of friendly intentions. Outside, Guan Yu glanced at the large buildings wrapped in silver outside in surprise. Just himself. It is like Aaron Carr's constitution is not afraid of cold and high temperature. So in this weather, you can enjoy the snow scenery leisurely, and the cold wind blowing is pure as a facial massage for yourself. But who is a normal Shinigami who would go out to visit friends in this weather? What's more, just find someone, even if they don't want to enter. What are you trying to do? This Ryatsu let go of perception and searched carefully for a while. Guan Yu raised his brows involuntarily, quickly sorted out the whole story, sighed involuntarily, and got up from the reclining chair reluctantly. The commander-in-chief is too. I was asked to do things for them at the beginning, and now I want to clean up their mess after that, but forget it, after all, it was a promise I made myself. Guan Yue, are you going out now? Qian Dian King Palace on Xiao Road asked hesitantly. In fact, what she wanted to ask was, will you come back later? Because he couldn't put the battlefield in your home, he probably didn't want to involve other nobles, so he insisted on waiting at the door. I could wait until the snow stopped before going out, but that would be an insult to Kachiki's name. Guan Yu tidied up his collar, then took the Captain Yuri, who was respectfully handed over by the maid next to him, and threw it on his shoulders with a seemingly casual tone, but a serious expression. What's more, I asked him to come to me at the beginning, but now they have come to me with enough awareness, and it's not good if they don't respond well. Slap, step on the red bar with one foot. Guan Yu seemed to remember something and turned to the woman and said, "I've finished the tea you gave me before. Can you get me some more?" Of course. There's a lot more in the warehouse." Qian King Palace nodded stunned. "Okay, I'll come back and get it after I've dealt with it later." 35. As soon as the voice fell, Guan Yu disappeared without a trace. "Master Lord, it's cold outside. Please go back to the house," the maid whispered. However, it was rejected by Qian King Palace. Why can't he sit here for so long as a concubine? 55. The maid shut up. She wanted to say it was Shinigami. Well, it's weird for Shinigami to do that. Anyway, you're the head of the house and you're right. The maid was silent, and Qian King Palace seemed to realize that she was talking nonsense, or that the other party absolutely did not understand her own thoughts. So she turned around and returned to her own warm environment with a lonely look. On the other side, in front of the mountain gate of Xia Dalla's house, Guan Yu stood at the highest point, looking at the unusually abrupt black figure below the long and steep stairs. 7 or 8 years. With your character, you can endure not coming to me for so long. You must have contributed a lot to Your Excellency Yin Ling and your wife. Now that Your Excellency Yin Ling has only been gone for a year, can't you wait? Kachiki, ringing the river. The Shinigami found at this time is Kachiki Kyukawa, who is currently the 3rd seat of the 6th Division. As early as a few years ago, when Guan Yu was still serving as the sub-team leader of the 2nd Division team, he faced each other with swords. However, due to the poor compatibility, Kachiki Xianghe, who was obviously stronger than ordinary captains, did not fight back. Force, by Guan Yu at Kachiki's house, took Bankai in front of the elders. Although in the eyes of Kachiki Yinling and Yamamoto Yuanyuzi, this is to allow Kachiki Xianghe to grow up and not be targeted by the 46 rooms, but Kachiki Xianghe has a straight and irritable temperament, and he himself will definitely not put Guan Yu regarded it as his benefactor. 99. When a man is ruthless, there is nothing wrong with a woman. Fourthmore, over the past few years, the two sides have not even seen each other. Even if Guan Yu visited Kachiki's house occasionally, he never saw Kachiki Xianghe. I don't know if I moved out or what, but I didn't care too much anyway, because Guan Yu knows that this man will be found sooner or later. When you left Kachiki's house, I asked you how you would return Muramasa. Kachiki Xianghe raised his head, and although he looked up, he uncharacteristically showed a strong vigor. His eyes were piercing, and he looked directly at Guan Yu's fiery red eyes that were exceptionally bright under the snow. And your answer is, as long as I can hurt you with kid. Now that you are no longer the sub-captain of the Gully team, is your promise still valid? Or is my Bankai still in your hands? 5. Of course, I always have a beginning and an end in what I do. Guan Yu didn't hesitate. Well, Kachiki Xianghe pulled out Zanpakutō, pointed at Guan Yu at the top of the stairs, and said firmly, "Today I will take back my Bankai with dignity." Are you sure you want today? In my opinion, you are still far away. Maybe, but you're wrong about one thing. I'm not can't wait. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do as a member of the Kachiki family. Become the captain of the 6th Division? Guan Yu asked rhetorically. Kachiki Xianghe closed his eyes and said slowly, "Maybe in the eyes of you, or even more people, without Lord Yinling and Mr. Tsangchun, I can take advantage of the power of Byakuya's young master Kachiki's family, and then take the seat of the captain of the 6th Division, and become a famous person. Big shot. Actually, it's not wrong for me to do these things. I've thought a lot over the past few years, some things I can't figure out, and some things I've already figured out. I probably really can't become what Your Excellency Yinling expects, but I will never watch the Kachiki family decay. 9. The 6th Division is a noble division, and only members of the Kachiki family, the first of the 4 noble families, can serve as captains. If it is left vacant, the Kachiki family's position in the aristocracy will be shaken, but now only I can stand up and protect this reputation is no longer in the dust. 99. This is both my duty and my mission, Even if I die in your hands, I must come and try to retake Bankai from you, sit on the seat of the 6th Division captain, and become Kachiki after Lord Yinling, the new pillar of the home. Until Byakuya grows up, then I will hand this seat back to him." In these words, there was not a trace of pride or publicity that could take advantage of the opportunity, nor was there a hint of impassioned, very calm. It is so calm that it is chilling, like a pilgrim. As long as you can achieve the belief you hold in your heart, it is enough to pay any price. "I see." Guan Yu felt his unyielding awareness. "You have indeed changed a lot in the past few years. Although you are still so stubborn, you finally understand the good intentions of your Excellency. Yinling accepting it or not is one thing, and being able to understand this is a great improvement. The silver bell of Kachiki is still there, and he is probably willing to use the position of captain to further hone you. But it's not that easy to get Bankai back from me. The more you talk, the stronger your belief, the more serious I will deal with it. So before you start, you still have a chance to go back. If I go back now, it will really destroy my body and mind. In contrast, I am more willing to face you because you may not be able to do it." 35 had 78th? Zhanhua Wheel. Kachiki Xiangha opened his eyes, and his voice suddenly changed from calm to excited, waving Zanpakutō in his hand and slashing out a kid slash that was about 6 meters long and resembled the pressure of a sword. Purple-red knife light came oncoming. Guan Yu had no expression on his face, grabbed the Captain Yuri on his shoulders, and threw it out like a weapon. With a whipping action like a long whip, this powerful high-level had was forcibly scattered. Seeing this scene, Kachiki Xiangha also frowned secretly. "Before I came, I had imagined the battle process, and I had calculated it hundreds of times in my mind, and I knew that things would not unfold as smoothly as I expected. But the opponent actually did not play their cards according to common sense. You don't have to hide it. Don't worry about the gate behind me and the surrounding buildings. Just use it to your heart's content. This is not a battle. This is a test for you, so I will not hide or draw a sword." Guan Yu showed a warm smile. "I can't guarantee other means. I will follow Kid's words." Knowing it was a provocation, but Kachiki Xiangha still ate it in his stomach. Just like Guan Yu said, this is not a battle. So the things that need to be scrutinized in a normal battle don't have to be in your heart. This ensuing anger only will inspire more power.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.